Yes. It is the return of the Donkus Jonkus Monkus. In more ways than one. How we doing, gang? What's good? It's a Monday. You know how it goes. Mondays, Garfield, all that kind of nonsense. How we doing? How are you all? It's good to see so many of you here early. Look, it's me. Look, I'm back. Oh my god. Holy shit. Hello. Let's say hi to everyone. This is what we do. I've missed you. I've missed you genuinely. Genuinely missed. Having little chatters just here. Here. Oh! Wait! Law Trek. Oh my gosh.
Michelle.
I'm so sorry. I had the alerts turned off. From yesterday. But thank you so much for the sub. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the £5. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. Thank you so much for subbing off Twitch, Lord Trek. I really appreciate that. You're a star. Thank you, thank you. But yeah, let's say hi to everyone. Obviously, hi and bye to Lord Trek. Thank you so much for the £5. Really appreciate that. But welcome in, Sugary Senpai, Kiri Magic, Gumba Master, Box Full of Leaves, Nana161, Bass Junkie, Dave Warnock, who deserves a shout out. Shout out for Dave. Queen Pip, who has already had a shout out, and you should definitely go follow her. Pat Potato, welcome in. Carpe Pax, hello, welcome to the stream. Why am I alert? Okay, there we go. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Carpe Pax also deserves a shout out. Welcome in. Hello, 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 hello. One who reads. Good to see you. Husker Du, Prince Infidel. Hi. Yeah, that's right. I've gone woke. Do you know that Muel is fabled in legend to be based in cool? It is in legend. It is an obscure legend that not many people know. It's true. It's true. Hang on. My position is not quite right. Okay. Cool. I'm going wonkus and bronkus. That's true. Donkus, jonkus, monkus going wonkus and therefore bronkus. What have you been up to, chat? What have you been doing? Oh my god, I've literally not spoke to you for like a week. I'm still not really over being tired. And I don't know what it is. It's like a combination of potentially like, you know, it's either going to be a bunch of different stuff. Hang on, I just realized I gotta... Wait, has that worked? That's not brought the audio down whatsoever. Yeah, it's weird. I'm still not really over the tiredness. I don't really... It's a slow heart attack like what Kevin Smith had. Oh, thank you so much. That's really cool to read. I love that. My first day back streaming when I've genuinely had like a week off because of health fears. Right, and one of the first things that someone says, another streamer no less, says you're having a heart attack like Kevin Smith. Yeah, thank you, Carpe Pax. Really cool. Really cool. Wanted to hear that. Well, I think that's what I've got going on. That doesn't make it any better for me, I'm afraid. It doesn't make it any better for me. Bit of a weird thing to say, but we're gonna move past it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I had my Hep A, Hep C vaccines, or is it Hep A and Hep B? I really don't fucking know, to be honest. 2 of the hepatitis, I had a vaccine for, and a couple of days after that, yeah, had a bit of a rough reaction to it. So that was it, really. And I don't know if I've literally like, you know, just had a sort of like a bad reaction or whatever. But yeah, I've just been really, really fucking tired ever since then. That would give me a full-on panic attack if someone did that to me. Yeah, I do have panic attacks. I do have anxiety attacks, you know? It's rough. Let's do our best not to like pass our anxiety on to our comrades, yeah? Like, you know, like my dad did. You know, like my dad did to me. Like my dad, he did a lot of that. He was like, oh, you shouldn't do anything because, you know, you might die. And now I've got anxiety. So thanks, Dad, for that. Let's not do that to our comrades. I think that's probably a good shout. But anyway, despite that, I'm doing fine. You know, I've been to the gym today. I've been to the gym pretty much the whole time I've been off, really. That's a lie. That's a big fucking lie. No, I haven't. No, I fucking haven't. I didn't go on like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. No, I went on Tuesday. I didn't go on Wednesday and Thursday. And then oh my God, I don't even remember when I went to the gym. Oh no, I went back on Friday. No, I went back on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I went back on Friday and then I went Saturday, Sunday, and today. So I've been for 4 days now. But yeah, absurd. Amanara, welcome in. Hey, you haven't been around in a long time, but politics always brings me in. We've been skipping down the road to hell in a handbasket. I disagree. But yeah, you know, things are bad, but they're going to get better because everybody's going to get up and do something. I know it. I have faith in the human race. I have faith in my comrades. I missed a bunch of chat. I'm sorry. I'm not used to this. Twitch is weirding out for me. I'm sorry to hear that, Base Junkie. That sucks. You've been especially fatigued since Thursday? Yeah, for sure. I mean, maybe it's that too. I don't, you know, maybe it's just like stuff that's going on in the world as well. That always tends to like bring my general fatigue down, you know? Or up. Fatigue up. Your fatigue would go up, right? Because that's... Anyway. I'd blame daylight savings, but you smart people delay it a week. Yeah, we don't have daylight savings yet. Yeah, not yet. My beard looks immaculate. It really does. Thank you. Appreciate that. Wish I could get those vaccines and the monkeypox one, but the NHS basically keeps saying lol no every time I ask for one. Glad you're feeling a bit better at any rate. Yeah, that fucking sucks, Curry. Like, do you know why that is? Or are they just being like no? Here's the thing. It's like so it's been rough for me to get Hep A and Hep B vaccines, also the HPV vaccine, and the monkeypox vaccine. I eventually got them, but it's, you know, it's not through like jumping through several fucking hoops that an ADHD person absolutely shouldn't be expected to jump through. Like, for example, getting up and trying to get on the fucking portal to book an appointment, because if you log on a minute past 8:30 in the morning, you can't get an appointment. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And to make things even fucking more ridiculous, yeah, for the monkeypox vaccine, and this is the second monkeypox vaccine, right? So the first one was dead easy. I don't know why it was so easy. The second one is completely absurd. You have to actually be like, you have to call a dedicated line in between, like, I think it's 3 and 5 on a Tuesday, or 2 and 4 on a Friday. How the fuck am I supposed to remember that? And if I do remember it, how the fuck am I supposed to, like, you know, I don't know. It's just dumb. It's just fucking dumb. So really annoying. Yeah, good to see you, Mark. How you doing? Banks are collapsing and they hold up the world capper. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think some people do get worried about, like, you know, what the banks are gonna do. The thing is that what happens with the banks always affects people on the bottom of society in a bad way. But obviously, the more and more that we realize that the material conditions of the working class are getting worse and worse and worse, and in fact the middle class as well is sort of like, you know, thinning and thinning and thinning and thinning, you know, then people will just be like, no, sorry, it's not good enough, but we can't just stand by and wait for it to happen. That's what the title of this stream is about. Just realized I've got chili on my glasses, chili oil. That's not ideal. In a good mood since you had a fun birthday weekend? Happy belated birthday, Prince. Hello, Femboy Frankenstein. How are you doing? Good to see you. Finding out my GP won't still won't prescribe my tea because apparently I haven't got the letter they're supposed to have, apparently, despite telling us that they did. I've had it. Yeah, that fucking sucks, Mark. I'm sorry to hear that, mate. Let's get some love in the chat for Mark, please. That really sucks. Will the middle class realize that they won't save themselves by sacrificing the working class? Well, they've been doing that already. So, I don't know. Maybe. We need to be there to tell them, right? I should get the monkeypox vaccine before I go to Prague. You should. If you're going to be doing a Czech Hunter weekend. The gays will know what I'm on about. The gays will know what I'm talking about. 6 years on, and it's suddenly become a problem because I moved. It's bureaucracy, isn't it? It's bureaucracy gone mad. I think that's the thing that like trans people struggle with the most in this country. It is of course systemic transphobia. I don't think we should water it down in any way, but like the fact that there is so much bureaucracy involved means that it's much worse, right? You know what I mean? Hey Shafiq, good to see you. Was Bureau crazy ever sane? No, not at all. No reason a GP can't prescribe this. It's segregated for no reason. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. That is absolutely not what I'm doing. Not at all. I don't know why you would think that. I'm 100% not being sarcastic at all. Czech Hunter's a crazy fucking... That's a crazy porno channel. It just like kind of like... I don't know what it is. It's just like, oh yeah, every single Czech guy is just like super hot, extremely ripped, tanned, etc. You know what I mean? That's just not true, is it? It's not accurate. Like, there's not like a country that you can go to where like all the guys just look like that. It's just not true. I don't get it. Like, it's just so dumb. You know, Czech guys are hot, right? But not because it's just one country where like all the hot guys live. Weird. Just a weird thing. FBR Toria, how are you doing? Good to see you. Hang on a sec. I gotta take my chili off the stove. Hell yeah. Right. Where was I? Czech hunting. I don't know. Effie, how are you doing? So, where was I? I've forgotten how to do it, chat. I don't know what I'm doing. What am I doing? What are we talking about? What do you want to talk about? I should do that, really, shouldn't I? Instead of just like starting the stream and going like blah, 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 I should just be like, chat, what do you want to talk about? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want from me? That's the real question. Oh, by the way, if you've not had the DM, right, about what is it? I can't remember. Trash Bingus, right? Trash Bingus. If you've not had the DM about Trash Bingus, yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine. I'm on it. I've just had no chance. Hey, Transjane Dare. Every guy from this country is pretty hot. Just so everyone's aware, Transjane Dare has put the trans flag in the chat, implying that the trans flag is representing a country. That's the joke. That's the joke that they've gone with. Hey, Gobs, what's going on? Cats, my cats are very cute. Your cats are very cute. Everybody go follow Goblin Hugger. They're great. What's going on, Gobs? Good to see you. Yeah, we're doing a political stream, but we're mainly going to be reacting because I am still like super tired. And like, I had some bullshit. I don't know if you saw, but like, I'm so pissed off with them. I haven't spoken about this too much because it's just kind of one of these things that's like, I guess it's drilled into me through like ADHD trauma. Where like, if I buy some food and forget about it and it goes off, that happens because I'm ADHD, right? And it's happened like a lot, right? Do you know what I mean? And it's happened so many times with Lidl over the last like 3 months, maybe more. I've bought like chicken from him, right? Like raw chicken. And I've taken it home, and like the way that I would like normally buy chicken from like Aldi or Asda or wherever, right, is I would buy it like up until the sell by date that's on all the packs, right? So if the sell by date that's on all the packs or the use by date that's on all the packs is like the 21st of March, for example, I will buy like, right, so what date are we on? Right, we're on the 13th of March, right? So if it's the 21st of March, that's how many days? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right, so 9 days, right? 9 days. So I buy 9 packs of chicken, right? 2 breasts, right? 9 packs of chicken. Or buy as many breasts as I would normally have in a box and, you know, equal it to that amount. So do 2 breasts per day, right? So I can hit my macros for the gym and shit, yeah? So I would do that from Lidl, yeah? And a couple of days into it, I would like get this whiff while I'm like chopping it, and I'm like, yo, that's rancid. Like, it's gone off, and it's within the fucking use by date. And this has happened so many times, chat, like legitimately, like so many times. And then I've had to like, because I need food that day, I've had to go to the fucking convenience store down the road, and it costs like £5, which is twice as much. Yeah, right? And sometimes I've gone to fucking Lidl, yeah, and I've thought, okay, well, I know it goes off after a while, so like, it doesn't matter. I'll buy it today and I'll use it now, yeah? Yes, my fridge is at the right temperature. Sorry, I don't mean to get mad at you, but yes, I'm sorry, but when I'm saying like this hasn't happened for any other fucking supermarket, right? It's a bit of a redundant question, innit? Yes, my fridge is at the right fucking temperature. Right, so I've gone, oh, you know, it's fine. I'll just buy, you know, a fucking thingy, right? I'll buy some chicken there today and I'll use it today because then it shouldn't go off. And I've taken it home, I've opened it, and it's fucking off. It's off that day. How can they fucking sell that? They're making people sick. It's fucking mind-blowing. You know? And I'm like so fucking done with it. Like, I gave him another chance. I actually gave him another chance. And like, you know, the way I do my cooking nowadays, yeah, I batch cook it, and I brought in 1.2 kilos, yeah, for the week, yeah. And I thought, well, maybe, you know, I can leave it a couple of days. The sell-by date was the 17th of March, chat. The sell-by date was the 17th of March, right? It's the 13th today. And I opened it, and it fucking stunk of shit. Do you know what I mean? I was like, are you fucking real? This is nuts. You know what, Shuggy? That's probably what it is. It's probably their fridges. It's like the fridge doors, isn't it? But what doesn't make sense, yeah? What doesn't actually make sense at all is like, at Aldi, they don't even have fridge doors. So I don't understand. You know, I bought it from Aldi loads of times, and Asda. They don't have fucking fridge doors at Aldi. They just have fridges to put things in, and it's all open, and like, you go in that section and it's cold as fuck. It's just so dumb. I don't get it. It could be that Lidl is repacking old meat with new dates. I don't fucking know, man. I don't fucking know. Yeah, they have to. They should be doing that. Like, it's trading fucking standards, because that'll be making people sick. There'll be students, right? Or people who aren't used to, you know, shit. I don't know, like, whatever. They just don't know. Like, people don't have this knowledge. And they'll smell it, and they'll be like, oh, that's what chicken's supposed to smell like. I don't know. And they'll be eating it, and they'll be getting fucking sick. It's fucked. What stresses me out more than anything, yeah? What stresses me out more than anything is that the people who shop at Lidl are like poor people, yeah? I shop at Lidl because I'm fucking poor. That's why I go there. You know what I mean? I don't go there because I want to go to Lidl. I don't want to go to fucking Lidl. I want to get my shit from Asda. Do you know what I mean? But I can't go to Asda because it's too expensive. So I go to Lidl. Do you know what I mean? So poor families, working class families are going to this place and buying meat that's off and eating it and making themselves sick. It's fucked. It's fucked. It could be any issue with transport and shelving. I think that, who said it in the chat earlier? Something to do with, it's capitalism, right? Do you know what I mean? It's capitalism, innit? Anytime you've got meat from Lidl, it's been like that. It's so bad. Yeah, it's what Gunman Master said in the chat. How can they sell that? It's because they don't care about anything than money. That's what it is. That's what it is. You know what I mean? And I know that it's capitalism. Like Lidl isn't like the National Food Service. Yeah, it's not a food bank. You know, where they like should definitely be selling stuff that is like absolutely, you know, yeah, all that kind of stuff. You know. Actually, I don't know what I just said. What did I just say? It's not a food bank. They shouldn't have to deal with it. Right, yeah, so it's not a food bank. They shouldn't have to be, you know, it's like capitalism. That's why they don't care. That's why they don't actually, like, you know, check their products and make sure that they're, like, you know, fit for fucking human consumption and all this shit, right? It's just stressful as fuck. It's like, this is capitalism, man. You know what I mean? And you go to Lidl, right? I go to Lidl most days, right, to get shit from there. If I don't have time to go to Asda, because I will just go to Asda and just get the meat from there because of that stuff, right? Or I'll get it from Aldi, right? It's not as much of a stress. But, you know, going to Lidl every day and seeing, like, the queue is fucking massive. If you go any time after 12 o'clock, the queue is so big because people can't afford to shop anywhere else. You know what I mean? What happened with investigative journalism? Maybe they should pour some resources into that instead of all the anti-trans bullshit they're pushing. Yeah, like Shafiq says, yeah, journalists shop at Waitrose. That's what it is. Journalists have got enough dough to shop at fucking Waitrose or fucking Tesco or fucking Sainsbury's. You know what I mean? Or what's the really posh one? There's like a really posh one. I've forgotten what it's called. M&S. Journalists shop at M&S and turn a blind eye to all the fucking, you know, funding of an apartheid state and relationships with Netanyahu or whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah, from Daddy's Farm. Oh my God, imagine. Imagine. Anyway, so that's my rant for today. I used to do a thing on YouTube back in the day, ages ago, and it was called, like, what did I call it? Stupid Rant Sunday. That's what I called it. I called it Stupid Rant Sunday. So I'd have like a stupid rant. And I would think it was stupid, but it was genuinely about like stuff like this, like how hard it is to live in Britain. You know? Tesco are the only ones that deliver to your house. They put up the delivery prices and increase the minimum basket at the same time. That's what Asda did. That's why I stopped getting Asda deliveries. Yeah. Slumming it for them is going to Sainsbury's. Yeah, I know. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, so stressful. So stressful. Like, Sainsbury's is the nearest supermarket to me. It's like a convenience store to me, right? It's like a little Sainsbury in... Do you know what I mean? But it's just so expensive to go there. Like, the 1.2 kilos of chicken that I got from the... you know, whatever you call it, from Lidl. The 1.2 kilos of chicken that I got from Lidl, I got the same amount of chicken from Sainsbury's, and I swear it was like £4 more expensive, and it's just like, that's just not sustainable for me. It's not sustainable. Hey, delicate friend, how's it going? Did something new happen today? Am I behind on some news? No idea. Absolutely no fucking idea. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're having a good day. Hi, B-Rat. I don't know any of these stores. I mostly shop at Aldi Easy. Yeah, listen, like, Aldi is the GOAT. The main reason that I stopped shopping at Aldi is because the chicken that they do there sometimes has this, like, weird texture to it that feels like it's been pumped with too much shit. You know, where it's, like, dead thick. It's not, like, soft like meat normally is. It's, like, thick fucking shit. Don't get it. Shopping expenses have gone up so much. It's absurd. It's fucking absurd, man. You know? Anyway. We've not started news yet. We're not even going to do news. We're not even doing news today. You know? Hey, Red Planet Live. How's it going? AKA Conrad. Not having any kind of disability and living within a mile of supermarket means for me the very idea of having groceries delivered to my door peak decadence. Yeah, this is the thing. Do you know what I mean? It's like I used to get Aldi because I got anxiety from like going to Aldi and places like that. You know, it was really super busy and shit like that. And so that's why I stopped going there and started getting deliveries. But then after a while, it was like, yeah, man, this is so expensive. It's literally like fucking 50 quid every time I want to get a shop. So ridiculous. Aldi here in Slovenia hasn't got much more expensive. That's good. Yeah, no, Aldi's good. Like, Aldi's fine. Like, Aldi has like good prices and shit. But it was just like the chicken started to get weird. It was getting too busy. You know, like, I just, yeah, was freaking out every time I'd go in there. Likely found a place to live for the next year or so. Buzzing. Happy because I'm going to be moving close to the Gaskell Garden project. Want to volunteer there? Yes, you will get so much out of that, delicate friend. Hell yeah. Yeah, happy for you. Sounds dope. If we're not doing news, we're doing olds. We're not doing olds. We're ageist here. We're not doing it. I'm an old myself, but fuck you. That's how we do it. Welcome in, Conrad. Can I get a shout out for Conrad, please? Shafiq. I recently learned that in the south of Germany, Aldi is supposed to be one of the fancy ones. Like, the difference between southern Aldis and northern Aldis is night and day. No fucking way. How dare you, Muel? Call yourself old. I'm a bit old, you know? I'm a bit old. What was I gonna fucking say? No, I think that's it. I think I'm done now. I think I'm done now talking about how annoyed I am with supermarkets and stuff. Old enough to recognize the internet is full of kids. It's true, it is, isn't it? It actually is. What a fucking nightmare world we live in. Okay, chat. We're doing it. Hey, DJ Che. Good to see you. Long time no see. Put your hazmat suits on. Oh, my God. We're going to be watching Frank Laundry's new vid. Frank did a video about transphobia. He's called it the existential horror of transphobia on a burning planet. So, content warning, transphobia, climate change, all that stuff. Yeah, welcome in, Lima. Nice to see you. Welcome to the stream. We're gonna watch this. I like Frank Laundry. We've watched one of his videos here on the channel before. He's a good dude. Go send him some love. Here's a link to the oh no, not that. There we go. There's a link to the video in the chat. Please give him a like, a subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff. We're going to be checking this out. I'm going to be grabbing some food, though, real quick. So I'm going to disappear in a hot second. But I'll watch the start of it with you. I'll watch the start. You know, that's the kind of streamer I am. That's the kind of streamer that I am. You know what I mean? I'll sit here and I'll watch a bit with you, and then I'll go and get my chili. Right? My chili that I deserve. I prompted to say that I finally have something resembling actual internet, so you won't have to engineer the show next week. Oh, thank you, Conrad. Fucking legend. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Hey, Lost Futures. All right, let's watch the video. Let's watch it.
This video was brought to you in part by Atlas VPN. More on them later.
Oh, Hans, those flowers you sent to me.
A little bit of ableism in here as well, I guess.
This is Freaks, a 1932 horror film that really isn't
You all know about
horrifying
Freaks?
at all. I've recently been obsessed with everything horror, from Mary Shelley's Abomination to H.P. Lovecraft's Gods Beyond Our Comprehension. There's something about horror that fascinates me. For the longest time, I wasn't sure what it was. I wasn't interested in knowing why I liked the wave of dread stories like Lovecraft's Shadow over Innsmouth left me in. A story where the narrator travels to the unwelcoming seaport town Innsmouth and encounters a religious cult, the esoteric order of Dagon, whose followers worship the sea god Dagon and mate with fish.
You got a Freaks coaster in your bathroom? Oh my
Their
gosh.
offspring begin life as humans.
Hey, Mr.
and
Dank.
slowly transform into fish humanoids themselves and find their way back to the lair of the deep ones. Our narrator, in a chase for his life, encounters waves of the disturbing malformed monsters, but the most chilling part of the story is the discovery the narrator is a fish humanoid himself, and near the end of the story is filled with an awakened desire to return to the depths of the sea.
Yes!
I'm plagued with
Return
bigotry.
to
I
the
can't help
depths!
But love this novella, and in the final pages that read like a perverted coming-of-age story, it got me thinking, what makes something horrifying? Why is Freaks, a film about a traveling circus who band together to fight those who ridicule and exploit them, considered a horror? I want to explore this question, as I think its answer will help uncover what to do when the dread of your predicament.
Yeah, that's right, Conrad. You're cancelled.
I am making this movie in part to expose bigotry.
Oh my god, he's got a
as
Freaks
fake
coaster.
and as a
Cancel him
response to
immediately.
Don't Look Up, a cosmic horror to rival anything Lovecraft wrote. First, we have to
Oh
define the
shit. Do you remember, who remembers Don't Look Up? Put one in the chat if you've seen Don't Look Up.
genre, and trust me, it'll be interesting. I wouldn't have made this movie otherwise. We'll begin our dissection of the horror genre in 1986 with The Fly.
Yes!
A horror classic where a scientist at on the brink of a revolutionary teleportation device becomes genetically mutated with a fly. The viewing after this inciting incident consists of his...
Dave Warnock is the only person in the chat who's seen Don't Look Up. That's interesting. But I kind of get it. I do get why people in my chat will have not watched Don't Look Up. It's a bit Libby. You know, it's a bit like, oh, well, you know, climate change, we can't do anything about it, and the world's going to end. And, you know, it says some cool things like, I don't know, billionaires won't save us, and paints people like Elon Musk as like absurd shit. Do you know what I mean? Just like they're not going to do anything. Like they're just absurd children, you know, in adult bodies and stuff. Yeah, and I think like the message of the movie is a little rubbish. My ex-wife loved Don't Look Up, which from a philosophical standpoint does explain part of why we're divorced. Yeah, it kind of says don't bother doing anything about it. You can't change anything, you know? Sorka, thank you so much for the 12 months.
I have officially been here for a year.
You have. Thank you so much for the Prime Gaming. I really appreciate it. Okay.
Metamorphosis.
The sight of a man morphing into a fly. Is
Hey,
enough
Alien
to
Machine
anyone
Music, welcome in.
crawling in their own skin. Brundo goes through the stages of grief alongside his seemingly endless modification until finally he comes to acceptance, naming himself Brundlefly.
I'm becoming Brundlefly.
Shortly,
If you haven't seen The Fly, the 1986 David Cronenberg version, you absolutely should. It's great. It's a phenomenal body horror piece of art. It's just like lots of cool practical effects, really cool makeup. Jeff Goldblum kills it. Like really fucking dope. Yeah, really recommend that film if you're into horror movies, if you're into sci-fi. Awesome. and also like existential. I'm glad that he, you know, included this in a video titled Existential Horror, because it is kind of existential. It's like, what would you do if you just became a fly? You know, what would you do? And it's like, oh damn, that is scary. Actually, you would be a tiny little guy, or would you? You know, all these different things. So yeah, I've seen a version of The Fly, but I think it was older. Yeah, there's a Vincent Price one like Conrad's talking about. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing that one. I'm not really like huge on classic cinema, like, you know, old sort of classical cinema, but I love a lot of the 80s sort of remakes of these old ones. Like the 80s remake of The Blob, that fucking rocks too. You know. Hey Vord, how's it going? Welcome in.
Before the film's end, we watch as Brundlefly enters the final stage of his transformation and becomes a monster neither human nor fly, but some interstitial, deformed combination of the two. The fly
it's so fucked. It's like, it's actually like really funny. There's like a bit where the hero of the film, who is like not painted as the protagonist, it's really good. David Cronenberg he doesn't really make films anymore. His son makes films, and I think he helps. But like, just David Cronenberg's like sort of depiction of that story is really good, and I don't know how similar it is to the original, but like really awesome. He just did one. Are you sure that's not Brandon Cronenberg? I'm pretty sure that's Brandon Cronenberg. You haven't seen it yet? Crimes of the Future. Oh, really? David Cronenberg's just directed a new film. Oh shit, I didn't know that. Oh, okay, cool. Well, anyway, where was I at with that now? Fuck. Yeah, he does like a really cool sort of like switching of the vibe where it's like the protagonist becomes the antagonist. And I think that's really cool, you know, just sort of like going against traditional movie norms where it's like, oh, this guy that I really like and I really, you know, identify with, oh, he's becoming a piece of shit. I think that's like really important and something that's lacking in like a lot of cinema.
Carroll termed art horror. Art horror is a genre that should produce the emotional state coined as art horror, similar to the suspense genre, which refers to films that should produce the emotional state of suspense. Thus, art horror is both a subgenre and an emotional state. The emotional state of art horror is a mix of terror and disgust brought on by the presence of nature-bending monsters.
Right.
As described by Carroll, the monsters that produce the state of art horror are threatening and impure, threatening in part because of their impurity. The monster's impurity stems from their contradictory nature, from their impossibility, from their interstitial position in between the spaces of our reality. Something like a Brundlefly. Simultaneously a man and a fly, but in reality is neither, and thus is impure. How to tell whether a monster is an art horror monster or just a normal occurrence in the fictionalized world is based on whether or not they're supposed to draw out the emotional state of art horror. Another key element to the horror genre, how characters within the story respond to the monsters, serving as representations for the emotions hoped to be drawn from the audience. Using the characters on screen as an anchor, we can bring objectivity to a medium that produces subjective emotional responses. For example, in Lord of the Rings, orcs, wild monsters, are accepted creatures within the fantasy, contrasted by the aliens in Ridley Scott's Alien, which are a new, culturally threatening phenomenon.
According to Carroll, we are art horrified by some monsters, say Brundlefly, if one, we're in some state of abnormal physically felt agitation, cringing, trembling, etc., which two, has been caused by A, the thought that Brundlefly is a possible reality, and through critical analysis of available evidence that B, said Brundlefly has the property of being physically and possibly morally and socially threatening in the ways portrayed in the fiction, and
Sure.
C, said Brundlefly has the property of being impure, where 3, such thoughts are usually accompanied by the desire to avoid the touch of things like Brundlefly. I substituted Carroll's use of Dracula for Brundlefly as this is the basic formula for evaluating art horror. In The Fly, Veronica Quaife, a young journalist on the verge of the world's most important story, that of teleportation, serves as our emotional signifier when she is filled with disgust at the sight of Brundlefly.
This disgust, this signifier of cultural impurity, is key to art horror. The monsters of art horror are characterized as specifically impure and unclean, enough so that even touching the monsters fills us with dread, and is often fatal.
Right.
As is the case with Brundlefly, who only needs to spit to dissolve entire limbs.
That's the bit I was talking about. Like the protagonist, the antagonist, who's like I don't even know if he is an antagonist, because I think the only thing that's like sort of a little bit antagonistic about him is that he like fancies Jeff Goldblum's girlfriend, who is the journalist, or like I don't even know if he's with the journalist. I can't remember. I've not seen this film in a long time, but like the guy, the other guy who ends up being like the quote unquote savior is like, he's sort of painted as like sleazy and a bit creepy, and then Jeff Goldblum, like Brundlefly, he becomes creepy and sleazy and gross. Yeah, so yeah. And it's just so fucking funny. He just like does this bit where he just goes bleh, and like throws up on one of the guy's like bits of clothes and shit, and all his like clothes burn off. It's like fucking well funny. So funny.
With a corrosive enzyme, playfully called vomit drop.
It's man versus God, yeah.
He regurgitates on his food. It liquefies, and then he sucks it back up.
Carol notes that the impurity of art horror's monsters stem from the fact that they are interstitial and cross the boundaries of the deep
Hey Rohan Mild, how's it going?
conceptual scheme, and thus is a threat to common knowledge. Things like the living dead, a merman, or a Brundlefly. This is the crucial difference between art horror and what Carol referred to as natural horror. While something like Silence of the Lambs is typically considered horror, it's what Carol referred to as natural horror, something that has formal reality in the Descartes sense. Its idea is instantiated by something that exists. Whereas monsters like Brundlefly are objectively realities, object reality being concepts that exist in thought alone without a commitment to their existence. Serial killers are a very much socially understood phenomenon that wouldn't bring about the specific emotion of art horror.
You might regret sitting down to eat dinner to this, but the next chapter is why art horror, and then talks about Psycho, and then dehumanizing people, art horror as propaganda, reclaiming cosmic horror, Jaws and climate anxiety, Don't Look Up and the Urge to Kill Hope. Yeah, like all this stuff. So that's the kind of content that's going to be here. Listen, in solidarity, I will also be sitting down to dinner with you for this, Shafiq. So, you know, if that makes you feel any better, I hope it makes you feel better. Be right back. Well, I'll still be here, but I'm just
Why would
scranning.
anybody watch a scum show like Videodrome?
Yes.
David Cronenberg's Videodrome raised a multitude of questions. One of those being, how will we protect ourselves from media, from being consumed by media itself? Yes, content today is advertisements, but you are now the content.
You're now watching an advertisement. When we spend the majority of our lives online, why would you do so without protection? Especially when Atlas VPN is offering a massive deal. Using the link below, you can get a 3-year subscription for only $1.83 a month plus 3 months extra. The best VPN deal on the market. All this with a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're anything like me and worry about hackers finding their way into your Club Penguin account, then Atlas VPN is a great way to begin to protect your online footprint. On the homepage, you can easily turn on the VPN and decide which country you want the internet to think you're in that day. But my favorite part about Atlas VPN is how easily I can block trackers using their Safe Browse feature. And check my email for breaches with their data breach monitor service. I actually discovered my email was being used by some website I hadn't used since 2020. Who knew? Atlas VPN knew. That's who. If you want more security on the internet, then I definitely recommend Atlas VPN, especially because you can protect all of your devices. Remember to use that link below to get that 3-year subscription for only $1.83 a month plus 3 months extra, and help support the channel. Thanks Atlas VPN for sponsoring this video. Now back to this video.
To expose the exciting potential of art horror, we simply have to look at the story forever conjoined to the flaw.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I make you watch the ad? Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I made you watch the ad. I just went... Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. Right, okay, yeah, let's crack on with it. I'm also going to go to the bathroom real quick, so be good.
Franz Kafka's Metamorphosis. Here, our story begins with a man turned beetle Life begins at the end of transformation.
One morning, when Gregor Samsa woke from troubled dreams, he found himself transformed in his bed into a horrible vermin. He lay on his armor-like back, and if he lifted his head a little, he could see his brown belly, slightly domed and divided by arches into stiff sections. The bedding was hardly able to cover it and seemed ready to slide off any moment. His many legs, pitifully thin compared to the size of the rest of him, waved about helplessly as he looked. What's happened to me? He thought.
Kafka puts us on the other side of Carol's art horror. The way we know we are in fact the disgusting terror is because of everyone else around us. A mother that can't stomach us, a father who violently banishes us, and a sister who will keep us alive only on condition we stay out of her sight. Kafka puts the reader in the all too familiar position of being the blight which plagues a house. Samsa is the monster of Carol's art horror, and the world is filled with confusion and disgust by his interstitial presence as a man turned beetle. Upon first reading, I felt this was an allegory for queerness. You know, that's the thing about horror. It's always trying to tell you something else. This is why Kafka and the Metamorphosis stand out, because at this, Kafka is a master. The original 1916 cover features a man recoiling from the world. The man can only be Gregor Samsa. This would lead one to interpret this story as an illusion. Samsa merely constructed a reality where he becomes a bug. But in reality, he was only a deluded man. The horror, if we interpret this as such, would come from the fact he encountered something so unbearable. It was easier to face the world as a bug, to fully embody the art horror of his desires, to realize the impurity within himself would be less possible to fulfill than the more practical metamorphosis. Is this then the story of a tortured, unsuccessful writer, a man trapped in the closet, a man who can no longer mentally engage with capitalism, or simply just a man morphed into a beetle? It can be all this and more. Here, we find horror's greatest strength and potential danger.
Okay, chat, I'm back.
Rarely comes from the monster itself, more so from what the monster symbolizes. In this sense, natural horror and art horror don't merit such a significant distinction, but it is through art horror, through this distinction, we can get to what the story really wants to tell us. Carol's art horror is itching at something we'd be unwise to miss.
Oh my god! It's that famous scene, that one, you know, everybody knows it.
Psycho is a perfect example of cinema subverting Carol's art horror. Psycho is rife with disturbing violence that at first glance is ordinary.
I'm not even eating yet, I'm just waiting for it to cool down. It's really fucking hot.
We discover the murderer was dead the whole time.
Hey Porcelain, how's it going?
Concludes by trying to piece together an understanding of the phenomena of Norman Bates being possessed by his mother.
His mother was a clinging, demanding woman. And for years, the two of them lived as if there was no one else in the world.
But Bates is possessed nonetheless. Carol called Psycho a tale of terror, leaving this film and others like
I'm doing okay, cheers,
horror,
yeah.
Because though eerie and scary, achieve their harassing effects by exploring extreme psychological phenomena that are all too human. Others have gone so far as to call it a thriller. It's interesting, possession in the sense of The Exorcist or even Alien fits perfectly into art horror, but the possession of Psycho stands awkwardly on the edge, existing in between.
Wait, I didn't think that he was possessed. I thought he was just, I thought the way that they painted it was that, like, his mother died and he relied on her so much that, like, when she died, he couldn't stand to be without her. And so he, like, personified her in his being. I thought that was the shit. It's not about him being possessed. Have I got that wrong, chat? When I watched Psycho, I was like, there's no fucking way that this is, no way. It absolutely is like, right, yeah, it's not like he's possessed by his mother at all. Metaphorically possessed. Yeah, but that's still like, that's you know, look, like, I would prefer it if it was, you know. I think this presenter conflates the two. Yeah, I genuinely, like, when I watched Psycho, I just did not I don't think he means literal possession. Yeah, possibly not. Possibly not. Yeah, well, let's continue anyway. But
natural horror, thriller, and art horror.
Like, he's referencing... Frank is referencing this Carol person, right? So, like, he's saying what Carol said. So, eerie and scary achieve their hair-raising effects by exploring extreme psychological phenomena that are all too human. And then does Carol, like, talk about... I think he might just be saying what Carol said. You know what I mean? I think it might just be he might just be repeating what this writer has said.
Eerie and scary achieve their harassing effects.
Okay, now I'm gonna eat. Now I'm gonna eat.
Extreme psychological phenomena.
Definitely gonna eat now.
All too human. Others have gone so far as to call it a thriller. It's interesting. Possession in the sense of The Exorcist or even Alien fits perfectly into art horror, but the possession of Psycho stands awkwardly on the edge, existing in between natural horror, thriller, and art horror. If we were to
I guess I know what he means. He's not really saying it's possession.
Then would it not be art horror? The piercing scream echoed at the sight of Norman's not so dead mother. The woman who is living in her son forces Sarah Harkins to recoil in disgust and horrifying surprise. And is Mrs. Bates not The Walking Dead? This would seem to fit nicely into art horror, but no one else on screen is art horrified by the idea of this woman coming back from the dead through her son. In fact, the majority of people, them being men, are quite calm throughout the whole movie, contrasted by Sarah Hankins, who is frantically searching for her sister. In fact, the only people scared in this film are the women. This is most likely why it can be considered a thriller. If it scares men, you have horror. If it scares women, you have a thrill. Still, Carol is right. Psycho is not art horror, even though upon Sarah's first encounter, she is art horrified by the dead yet living mother. We understand, at least the experts do, the unusual nature of Norman's possession. To classify Psycho as an art horror would be to dehumanize a man suffering from intense mental illness, subsequently relegating him to monsterhood. Despite his crimes, Psycho allows Norman to remain human.
Oh no. Mandy B!
Off Twitch.
Thank you so much for the £8.21. Thank you so much for subbing off Twitch. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good to see you, Mandy.
What we find in the Nazi propaganda film Jed Suis is the horrifying potential of cinema. Vit Harlan's Jed Suis is narratively a morbidly interesting piece of propaganda, especially when compared to films like Litany Riefenstahl's Triumph of the Will. Both films, being products of Nazi Germany for the explicit purpose of propaganda, are connected. They serve the same ends: to legitimate the Nazi Party and communicate to the people the party's immense strength. Triumph of the Will accomplishes this by depicting a military power of great numbers and waves of devoted party members. Triumph of the Will is a positive representation of the Nazi Party, the film the Nazis wanted the world to think of when they thought of the party. They wanted the world to regard them as an immensely powerful and united state. In Triumph of the Will, it's the very presence of the Nazis that make the portrayed utopia possible, whereas in Jed Suis, it's the absence of the party, the absence of a great man leading the state that allows the conflict to emerge. A Jew, Swiss Oppenheimer, is here our anti-hero who corrupts the Duke, leverages wealth to take over the town by acquiring control over its roads.
So I just want to mention this here. Basically, if anyone's seen A Pervert's Guide to Ideology, Sophie made the joke during our screening of it in the Red Planet Discord that, like, this is the film that every video essayist wants to emulate. And if you don't know the film, it's Slavoj Žižek. He basically, like, does a video essay commenting on, you know, movies, stuff like that, and talks about how it relates to ideology. And Frank Laundrie is absolutely doing The Pervert's Guide to Ideology. Like, he's in that film. Slavoj Žižek is in, like, you know, all these different sets and scenes that are relevant to the scene that he's talking about in the movies. It's pretty good, and Frank Laundrie's doing a pretty good job of it. It's not a criticism. It's just like it's funny that Sophie said that about video essayists, and now Frank Laundrie's here doing it.
Exploiting the people in the process, while planning to turn the town into a Jewish haven. His plan is ultimately foiled, and he is forced to answer for his crimes. It should come as no surprise, this film is infused with vitriolic anti-Semitism. The film ends with Oppenheimer executed while the music swells in triumph.
Fucked up, man.
Quite the sickening sight. The fact this propaganda was successful at inciting anti-Semitic violence and aided the Nazis' attempts to justify the Holocaust just makes this film that much more disturbing.
Yeah.
This is a realization of the darkest potential within art horror. Yud Suis is art horror, both the genre and the emotion signifying it at play. While typically considered a drama, I'd argue that this film is art horror in its rawest form, akin to films such as Don Siegel's Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
A moment's sleep, and the girl I loved was an inhuman enemy bent on my destruction. That moment's sleep was death to Becky's soul, just as it had been for Jack and Teddy and Dan Kaufman and all the rest. Their bodies were now hosts. An alien form
It's
of life.
dono time, DONODONODONODONO.
The monsters here.
Base Jungie, thank you so much for the £5. Thank you so much for subbing off Twitch. Thank you so much for supporting the stream.
According to the Nazis, are the Jews. Not Jewish people, but the Nazis' mythological construction. And only murder could free the people from Oppenheimer's treachery. The film's intended message is unmissable. Without the Nazi party, you too will fall prey to Jewish treachery. A necessary part of art horror is the denaturalization of the subject, which gets its impurity and disgust from its unnatural interstitial effect, which violates cultural taboos. And in Yud Suis, we watch as Oppenheimer is stripped of his humanity and subsumed in art horror monstrosity. It's fascinating in a perverse way how a film can conjure art horror when its premise isn't horrifying in the slightest. Todd Browning's 1932 career-ending Freaks is a story of a traveling French circus. The main conflict is a man with dwarfism being exploited by an attractive actor.
Whoa!
New month. Let's do this.
Holy fucking shit, Pip. Thank you so much for the £50. Thank you for supporting the stream. Thank you for the massive dono. Thank you for subbing off Twitch. We're going to do an unofficial hype train at the end of this, chat. Well, I say at the end of this. As soon as I've finished my tea. But thank you so much. Thank you for subbing off Twitch. Thank you for supporting the stream. Really appreciate all the love. I really appreciate that, chat. Thank you.
Cleopatra. The movie's poster boldly asks the question, can a full-grown woman truly love a... Freaks interests me because of its miscategorization into the horror genre. This miscategorization tells us more about society than it does about the film. The film itself is a rather exciting drama that humanizes its cast
It's been
of
like
outcasts.
months since I've been able to do this, lol.
Sorka, thank you so much for the £5. Thank you so much for subbing on Twitch. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. That means the world. Thank you so much, everybody. Really appreciate that.
Play, do laundry, everything other than perform for an audience itching to flinch at their disabilities. Many have questioned its place in the horror genre and noticed the film itself is very anti-eugenics in its embrace of the so-called freaks and its disavowal of the abled beauties that terrorize them. It's one of my favorite films, the way the performers reclaimed the label freaks and found genuine community with one another was brilliant. Freaks doesn't tell us much without the context of the ableist society that rejected it. The film was banned from the UK for 31 years and pulled from theaters all across America. The studio ordered massive cuts, and not to mention, it could only be marketed as a horror. And even as a horror, people couldn't stomach the film. While this is a feature far from being an art horror, that is the emotion it conjured in its audience, despite a decent effort from the film after massive cuts to humanize people that society relegated to the class freaks. It couldn't escape the reality of the world's ableist bigotry. In the reaction to this film, we find the same dehumanizing, denaturalizing element crucial to art horror, the one also at play in Yud Suis. This is what fascinates me about art horror.
Okay. Yeah, I was confused for a bit. Roho Mild in the chat saying, is that an offensive word? I had no idea what the fuck you were on about. I had no idea what the fuck you were on about. until the other people responded in the chat. I was like, oh yeah, okay, he censored the M word. Yeah. Yeah, you should only really refer to little people as little people, because that's what they are. They're just little people. You know? That's that.
Its reactionary potential. Art horror's distinction between formal and objective reality is crucial here. The monsters of art horror and their threatening presence are imaginary, only real in the context of the fiction, but they can still horrify us. They art horrify us. As the monsters of art horror have no formal reality, the same is true of the anti-Semitic construction of the Jew, the racist construction of the blacks, and the transphobic image of trans people, and so on and so on. What do I mean by this? Here, it's crucial to be very specific, to reject the framing of the question whether it's about blacks, Jews, and so on. It's not enough to say blacks aren't more violent or Jews didn't exploit Germans, as stated by Zizek in The Sublime Object of Ideology. The proper answer to anti-Semitism is therefore not Jews are really not like that, but the anti-Semitic idea of Jew has nothing to do with Jews. The ideological figure of a Jew is a way to
doing the Zizek
inconsistency of our own ideological system. It's a case that even if the anti-Semite is right, of course they're not, but even if they were, they'd still be wrong, as Zizek illustrates here.
Let's take what Nazis claimed about the Jews. I think we have to go to the end here and claim, even if, okay, not all, I wouldn't go so far, but even if some of what they claimed was true, nonetheless, anti-Semitism was totally a lie, a fake. Why? I think that that's my general point, that the moment you even think about endorsing, accepting discussion at this level, like, for example, let's say, I don't know, I'm a Nazi, you are an honest liberal, and I say, Jews seduce our young girls, Jews exploit us, and I say this. You say, no, this is a lie. Then comes a naive university neutral idiot and says, oh, it's difficult. Let's take an objective look. You sell your soul to the devil into this. Because let's be clear, the result will be unambiguous. Yes, the Nazis exaggerated it, but not quite. Because wait a minute, now let's say something horrible. Many Jews were also rich in Germany. So yes, they definitely exploited Germans. On the other hand, I hope so. It's normal. I think that some Jews definitely probably were seducing German girls. Why not? You know what I mean? Why is this false? Because the true, how to put it, the Nazis here, even if it were to be true, but it wasn't, of course, they lied in the guise of truth.
Right.
Because the true question is not, is it true what they are claiming about the Jews? The true question is why, in order to sustain their politics, they need this fantasy of the Jew.
Through art horror, we can grasp an understanding of bigotry as the fake that it is. Art horror, the language of fear of the impure and unclean monsters that violate cultural norms, is incredibly effective propaganda. In The Fly, Seth Brundle, at his own expense, made a discovery arguably more revolutionary than Einstein's theory of relativity, not only through inventing teleportation, but by merging man and fly on a genetic level. In the world of the fiction, this wasn't a violation of nature, such as impossible, but an expansion of what was possible within it. Since the Enlightenment, the progress of science has been exciting and chased after.
Okay, what Zizek is saying there is that when people lie about marginalized people, they cloak it in truth, right? So like, you know, when they talked about gays, right? When they talked about like queer people, queer men mostly, in the 1970s and 1980s, they were saying things like, oh my God, these men are seducing our children, they're turning them gay, and like blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And it's like, yeah, there might be like a gay pedo. In fact, there are like a few gay pedos that are like quite prominent that like most people have heard of, right? Yeah, it's not impossible for a gay man to be a pedo, right? Possible. But he's not a pedo because he's gay. You know what I mean? That's what he's saying. So it's like, yeah, there might be Jewish people out there that like are pieces of shit. They might, you know, go about, do this, like all the things that the Nazis said that they do. But he's not doing it because he's Jewish. He's doing it because he's a piece of shit, right? That's basically what he was saying. And that's what all bigotry comes down to. It's like, because and you got to think about the Jean-Paul Sartre quote as well. Never doubt. Hang on, let me bring it up on screen, because then that'll fortify the message I'm trying to come up with here. I love quoting this guy, Jean-Paul Sartre, anti-Semite. So, quote. All right. Okay. It's a big quote, right? It's a big quote. But this is what it is, right? Never believe that the anti-Semites are completely unaware of the absurdity of their replies. They know that their remarks are frivolous, open to challenge, but they are amusing themselves, for it is their adversary who is obliged to use words responsibly, since he believes in his words. The anti-Semites have the right to play. They even like to play with discourse, for, by giving ridiculous reasons, they discredit the seriousness of their interlocutors. They delight in acting in bad faith, since they seek not to persuade by sound argument, but to intimidate and disconcert. If you press them too closely, they will abruptly fall silent, loftily indicating by some phrase that the time for argument is past. That's the one. Yeah. You know. Well, you know, there's a subset of leftists who believe that by engaging Nazis in their arguments that somehow they will win, and leftists will win, and that will be fine, right? But that isn't the case, because you can't fucking argue with fascists. You actually just can't. It's impossible. I mean, it's possible, but you will not win the argument, right? You could declare yourself the victor based on things that might have happened in the discussion, in the argument, in the disagreement, but the anti-Semite will also come away and say, I actually won that argument. You know?
They're bringing humans to the moon, as well as bringing us closer to utter annihilation. It's quite a worrisome predicament, with progress as a concept being politicized.
And so we signed a bill called Parents' Rights in Education, which said, you know, we are not going to be injecting things like gender ideology into our elementary schools. We're not going to be...
This is Governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, reminding the people of his accomplishments in passing the Parental Rights in Education bill, better known as the Don't Say Gay.
Right, look, he's pointing out the anti-Semites of today, right? And I didn't want to say this because I know that this is where Frank is going with this, right? You know what I mean? Like, people like Ron DeSantis, people like Donald Trump, they use these absurd arguments about trans people, and they will quote, like, the one fucking time in history where a guy in a trans woman in prison, you know, raped someone, and that's the reason that every single trans person in the world is a bad person. Like, it's exactly the same as the way that the Nazis did with Jews, right? It's exactly the same. You know? Yeah, exactly. Bonbon C3PO. Yeah, that's literally it, yeah? Innuendo Studios video, the alt-right playbook, the card says moops, which is, you know, that behavior. It's when, like, you can't engage someone like Ron DeSantis in a debate about why trans people are not actually harmful, they're fine, and people should be allowed to live how they want, because he knows all the arguments that you're coming with. He knows. It's just he's a piece of shit. That's it. You know? That's just what it is. Like, Nazis, like, surprising, chat, crazy that we're learning that fucking fascists are a piece of shit on this stream. Oh my god, I never would have thought it.
A bill.
Also, hey, Snack Nat, right?
Events
Welcome in.
being current anything and everything is subject to whatever change the future holds, as well as
and you're right,
further
yeah,
analysis. But I think we can find value by assessing the ways a prominent politician and a broader political party are communicating to their voter base. I think looking at what legislation they're advocating for will be just as valuable. This is from the bill itself. Excuse the long quote, but it's not often nowadays a law so obviously calls for systematic discrimination. The district school board, acting as a board, shall exercise all powers and perform all duties listed below. The third duty states, quote, classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. The bill goes on to outline what happens when a school fails to address a parent's concern.
And let's look at that, right? Okay. So it's outlawing classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. What exactly is age appropriate or developmentally appropriate? Right? In grade 3. You know? Like this whole, like the wording here is that exact same shit. It's like nonsense. You could easily pick it apart with fucking, you know, a literal 10 minutes of just questioning, like, what do you mean by this? What do you mean by this? What are the state standards? Yeah, what are these variables? What are you on about? Thank you for the follow, by the way. So, you know, it's that same shit, right?
Not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. The bill goes on to outline what happens when a school fails to address a parent's concern. Quote, if a concern is not resolved by the school district, a parent may, 2, bring action against the school district to obtain a declaratory judgment that the school district procedure or practice violates this paragraph and seek injunctive relief. A court may award damages and shall award reasonable attorney fees and court costs to a parent who receives declaratory or injunctive relief. Okay, what does this mean? Classroom instruction on sexual orientation or gender identity is not allowed at all until 4th grade, and from there it's about whether or not the material is age appropriate, which is purely a subjective measurement made by each individual parent. Is using non-gendered pronouns like their, them allowed up to the parent? Is a picture book about 2 gay penguins starting a family allowed up to the parents? Is it allowed for a teacher to be openly gay, trans, or non-binary? Well, according to the bill, that's up to the parents. Similar bills are being proposed in Hawaii, Indiana, and other states as well. The reason for this government overreach is based on a manufactured art horror directed at the queer community and specifically trans individuals. DeSantis stands on stage promising to protect children from gender ideology, framing trans people as predators, hoping to indoctrinate children. Today we're watching a political party lie in the guise of truth. It's true. Is it not? We do want to dismantle traditional gender roles. We do want to confront their so-called gender ideology. Why not? Why can't people express themselves the way that they want to? Why is it necessary for society to be constructed and organized in such a rigid binary? And why is it necessary to their politics that gender be a rigid binary?
Right.
This is genuinely concerning, especially because there is no search for truth, no want for understanding, just a play for political power.
And like all the shit in the UK as well, right? It's this stuff is mirrored so hard at the minute with you know, migrants in the UK, it's on par with that. It's like the Conservative government is like, we absolutely will not be allowing anyone to come to England ever again. It's over. The migrants, they're not coming here anymore. We're stopping the small boats. Blah, 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 blah. Right? And all the while, people can't afford food. People can't afford rent. Evictions have increased over 90% in many different fucking cities all over the UK, increasing homelessness at a staggering rate. And they're going on about people coming over on boats. You know? I feel like debating and debunking fascists and anti-Semites can look really similar, but debating is trying to argue on their level, and debunking uses the lies and off-ramp to use to educate people on what the truth is. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Yes, that is what it is, yeah. It's all, don't look at me with my hand in the till, those insert group are coming for your children. That's exactly what it is, yeah. Exactly what it is. In Texas, at the minute, chat, there is a bounty on people performing drag. Did you know this?
The people in this crowd cheering for their pseudo-savior are effectively art-horrified by a fiction that only exists in their imagination. Most decrying gender ideology have no understanding of the trans experience and the ways everyone, not just trans people, perform gender roles. It's concerning that education is no longer being taught objectively, or at the least attempting to claim to be objective. The education system has, funnily enough, been biased toward America, downplaying the genocide against Native Americans, skipping over the systematic oppression of Chinese immigrants, erasing Latinos from American history, and skimming over African American history. Slavery, Martin Luther King, February's over. All right, let's pack it up. Let's move on.
So, Texas has released a bounty hunter drag ban. $5,000 bounty for hunters if a person performs while, quote, exhibiting a gender that is different from the gender recorded at birth and, quote, violates the community standards of decency. There it is, chat. You know? These bounties could easily be turned against trans performers. This bill would likely ban Kim Petras from performing in Texas, for instance. It could ban a trans person singing karaoke. It could ban Pride. What's Pride without drag? What's Pride without trans people? Not my pride. Yeah, so... yeah, shit has got that bad already. It has. Now?
As well as avoiding the struggles of the labor movement. I mean, my God, if anyone should be complaining about the education system, it should be me, quite honestly. But even more concerning is that this battle over education is successfully segregating queerness.
And this is not a terrorist group posting this. It depends what you consider a terrorist group. If you're like me and you consider the government of Texas to be a terrorist group, then yes, it is a terrorist group posting this. Because they are actually weaponizing political ideology in order to make people afraid, aren't they? That is what they're doing. Hey, Rat Freak. Yeah, I have seen that clip. Yeah, Miriam Margoyles rocks. Yeah, she's great.
Out of the public sphere. This
It could ban any musical theatre number that includes cross-dressing. Yeah, for sure.
Forcible removal from public discourse is foundational to maintaining art horror, to creating or strengthening cultural taboos. Education and interaction, of course, being a crucial aspect in traversing through art horror, effectively progressing and widening the cultural norms. What are you to do when you're the one they're art horrified of? Kafka's story was one of powerlessness. Samsa was an individual who suffered just for being who he was. and could do nothing to change his material conditions except, depending on your interpretation, escape into a fantasy. It's what makes it so applicable to so many today. Whether a worker, a person with disabilities, a racial minority, a queer person, or someone worried about climate change. This feeling of hopelessness, overwhelming hopelessness, is all too familiar.
What? There's a Cthulhu film? It's called Cthulhu?
This is your rightful place. Everything is yours. The old world is dying and we are giving birth to the new. Look, they come.
Oh, actually, I'm not involved. We're actually filming something. How does one fit into a world that won't accept them?
I fucking love this video.
What are you to do when you're the one they're art horrified of?
Oh, is that the film that H Bomber Guy was talking about? Oh, right. I kind of didn't really watch that essay, but yeah.
Dan Gildark's underappreciated Cthulhu poses this question twice. Cthulhu is a 2007 film adapted from Lovecraft's story, The Shadow over Innsmouth. The film deviates from the source material almost immediately, with Russell, our lead, waking to the news that his mother is dead. We watch as he travels back to his childhood town, Rivermouth, and through his childhood memories of being ostracized from the town for his sexuality, as he is a gay man. The film did many things that interest me on this little road trip, where it begins to capture the perverted coming-of-age essence laid into the source material.
Okay, the phrasing there.
Road trip where it begins to capture the
hold up
a gay man. The film did many things that interest me on this little road trip, where it begins to capture the
ready? Are you ready? This phrasing just really caught me. This phrasing just really caught me.
The perverted coming of age essence laid into the source material, as well as
he breathes. He takes a break. He takes a break before he says of age. The perverted coming of age.
Sprinkle in information of the current ecological crisis, pulling in the allegorical elements from much of Lovecraft's work.
Cool weather in the west is the envy of folks on the rest of the continent, where only tropical storms have provided relief.
Do like a bit of perverted coming. I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna lie.
Adaptation feels, for me, to be the most interesting Lovecraft adaptation I've seen.
Why are you putting a tomato? Why are you putting a tomato in the chat? Are you saying you're throwing tomatoes at me? At me?
Not my favorite film, nor particularly riveting.
It's got to be intentional, hasn't it? It's got to be.
Particularly enjoyable for the majority of it either.
Don't tomato me.
It's not until the final reveal that the story becomes a personal favorite, and all the dialogue and racism I had to suffer through becomes worth it. Yes, the chase scene is riveting, and the art-horrifying monsters are fantastically unnerving, but the story doesn't become a must-read until the final pages, as you soak in the awakening of the dormant truth. The way art horror is presented, then subverted, is surprisingly clever, considering the story came from a bigot. What I love about Lovecraftian horror, and broadly the philosophy of cosmicism he fathered, is it's not so much that life in itself is meaningless, but that we are helpless to impact the universe and live only by its grace, or rather, its indifference.
Don't let it go to waste.
But it moves beyond it
what do you
at
mean?
the same time and finds a home more comfortably.
What's anyone on about? What's happening?
Himself coined art dread, the classification for such tales of dread where Carroll states the uncanny event which tops off such stories causes a sense of unease.
I've eaten my tomato. I've had loads of tomato. Do you have any idea how many tomatoes are in that fucking chili? There's like fucking 15. I've eaten loads of tomato today. Piss off.
Momentary anxiety and foreboding. I would say this is why Lovecraft is unadaptable. Even when one can capture the art horror of Lovecraft, it seems they can't capture the all-encompassing dread his stories leave with the reader. This is where I think Gildark's adaptation excels.
We get tomato time on BTTV.
And find the core of Lovecraft.
You know what? I feel like that's what this stream has been missing, chat. I feel like that is what this stream has been missing. Let's do it. Let's do it. If anyone in the chat is rich in the UK and a fan of Lovecraft-esque stuff, check out Locksmith's Stream, a wonderful immersive experience that I worked on. Damn, if anyone in this chat is rich, then they're holding out. Now, let's see those donos, quote unquote, rich people in the chat. Emotes, dashboard, emotes. Can I just like click it? I've got like I've got loads of slots. I've got so many slots. I've got so many slots for BTTV emotes, chat. Like loads. How has this happened? I don't understand how it works. I remember like a couple of weeks ago I had 25 or something. Pizza Tower is supposed to be a really good game and I kind of want to play it on stream, but streaming games does not make me money, unfortunately. I stream politics literally like for how long have I been streaming politics? An hour and a half, and I've made like, I don't know, 70 quid, you know? That's more than I made in like a week of streaming speedruns. Muel has so many slots. Why are you sexualizing me? What are you on about? Why are you saying it like that? I don't like you wording that like that. I don't like you talking about me like that. Stop it. Being serious. Tomato time. That's what I'm trying to find. How do I get to the emotes on... Oh, global. Can you not search? Surely you should just be able to search for an emote. Okay, I don't know how to do this, chat. I'm not going to do this right now.
And bring it to the forefront. Authors like New York Times bestselling N.K. Jemisin have noted Lovecraft's bigotry as unavoidable, and it is, as it's foundational to his work. And yet, there is something there to be reclaimed, as Jemisin did in The City We Became, or what was done in Cthulhu. The Shadow over Innsmouth...
Maybe it'd be good to have Wednesday be a gaming day on non-bingus Wednesdays. Okay, listen. I'm very, very hopeful that my new video is going to bring me new patrons, and I'm hoping that the new patrons that I get, especially with the new patron tier that I have, which is only £2 a month, I'm hoping... Oh, Prince!
Happy my birthday, Muel.
Is it your birthday today? Prince, thank you so much for the 1312. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for subbing off Twitch. Thank you so much for the support in the stream. I really appreciate that. I'm hoping that after my new video goes, right, I should get a bunch more patrons, and that means that I won't have to worry so much. I could probably bring the living costs on stream goal down. That's basically what I'm hoping. So maybe I could stream for like one day less, or, you know, maybe stream video games and it wouldn't matter so much, kind of thing. So yeah, I'm not too worried for the time being. Like I think I just got to bite the bullet and just do some like React streams until my video is done, because then I can like afford rent and food and bills. Oh boy. So yeah, that's that. Hey Columbo, how's it going? Welcome in. Good to see you. Anyway, yeah, listen, chat, we've got tomato time in the BTTV. There you go. You can use that if you particularly don't like the joke that I do. Anyway,
with Lovecraft's bigotry. Here, the film shreds this element of Lovecraft and turns it on its head, featuring a gay man as its lead. The discomfort emitting from the town at first just feels like homophobic bigotry. This conveys the feeling of the source material without needing to make the townfolk obvious fish humanoids. In fact, unlike the Stuart Gordon adaptation, Dagon, which is arguably the more exciting film, Cthulhu...
Okay, I didn't know that Stuart Gordon did a film called Dagon? What? Dagon film. Stuart Gordon. He did the no way, dude. He did the He did the other Lovecraft adaptations. He did, what's it? Reanimator and the other one? What's the other one? What's the other one he did? From Beyond. Oh my god. He also did a film called Castle Freak, which I've wanted to watch for a while, actually. He's done loads of stuff. I love From Beyond. It's really fucking weird. It's genuinely one of my favorite films. Have we watched From Beyond on movie night? I feel like we watched From Beyond on movie night once.
Provides an eerie Lovecraftian experience not rooted in art horror.
Anyway.
Even the poor acting of some people in the town adds to the element of uncertain weirdness and makes sense as part of the narrative. The budget limitations of the film, I think, force this, as even the monsters, while there, are used sparingly to the point they could be imaginary. It all builds a sort of surreal daze of conflicted paranoia. Is Russell losing his grip, or is there really something in the water?
God, this video fucks so hard. Big up Frank Laundry. Everybody go follow Frank Laundry, give him a subscribe, give him a comment, all that kind of stuff. There's a link to the video in the chat that we're watching right now.
Creates a blanket of fear instead of a sharp.
Okay, I've said this before, possibly on this stream, definitely on Red Planet, or maybe not on Red Planet. Maybe I said it in like the Zoom call before the show. Basically, if you've lived through the pandemic, right? It's, well, not lived through the pandemic, lived through lockdown and all that stuff, you know. And you've not rewatched Jaws or watched Jaws, fucking watch it. It is so good on levels that I didn't even really realize. And I don't know how much, like, this kind of stuff happens all the time where, like, I think, like, oh my god, this creator of this work was so base, like, oh my god, they knew what was happening before it even happened. And then you find out that they were just like, I don't know what I was doing. I had no idea. Like, does anyone know about Nightmare on Elm Street 2? So Nightmare on Elm Street, spooky, scary horror film. It's about Freddy Krueger. It's the one where he's, you know, the first one. It's a bit janky in places, but it's pretty good. And then in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, an interesting thing that happens is it's about being gay. The interesting thing that happens that's different is it's actually about just being gay. And when you watch the documentary called Never Sleep Again, which is about the production of the Nightmare on Elm Street films, the director is just like, I had no idea. I had no idea. Like, the writer and the actor was actually gay. He was in the closet at the time. And I don't know if the writer did the casting or there was someone else that did the casting. Obviously, the director oversees the casting and stuff. So I don't even think he knew that the main character was gay. Obviously, in the 80s, wasn't that popular to be like an out gay actor. Yeah, it just so happened to be gay. And the script was written to be about coming out. But you can have a script that's about coming out, but then you can direct it and film it in a way that is like completely different and separate, and it would be more subtext. But holy fucking shit, Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is like not subtext, even slightly. It's so obviously about coming out. It's crazy, and it's just so weird, right? It's so weird. That you know, he just literally, like, I don't know, it's a Freddy film. It's a fucking Freddy Krueger film, you know. The longest time they claimed it's not gay at all, and then eventually they were like, yeah, our movie's gay. Yeah, they did. Yeah, the actor was fucked over by that, though. It sucks. I was under the impression he thought it was going to be a big breaking role for him, and he didn't want to be typecast as gay. All I know is that he's actually gay. That's all I know. So you know, but I can understand not wanting to be typecast as gay, even if you are gay. I do get that. I do understand that.
Jab, Jaws, Steven Spielberg's masterpiece. While far from a cosmic horror, it does manage to create a sense of powerless paranoia for the people of the town. This is one film I was terrified of before I even watched it. I wouldn't go into the deep end in swimming pools because I was positive a shark was hiding in the deep end.
Yep.
Jaws has been the subject of speculation since its release. Castro stating it's an anti-capitalist masterpiece, feminists claiming it affirms hatred for women. Others say it's obviously an allegory for Watergate. Zizek pointing out the shark is in fact the externalized representation of the internal antagonism built into the fabric of society.
Yeah.
All understandings
like, people have got so many things to say about Jaws. It's really, really, really good.
Film are interesting, but I think by trying to uncover a deeper meaning, we miss what the film is trying to say.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true. The film starts by murdering a young woman for getting naked on the beach. And yes, the town is not spurred into action, unwilling to risk profits over the life of a girl they view as spoiled. The blood in the water, a representation of her impurity. Here, I would say this was intentional, something provocative to make a...
He's written this like he's Zizek. I don't know if Frank's done this on purpose, but it's so funny. He's literally saying it like that. Here, I would say this was intentional, right? Intentional. Right? That's like something Zizek would say. Here, I would say this was intentional. Fucking brilliant.
Here, I would
Quality
say
video
this was
essay. I love this.
Something provocative to make a point. Of course, I'm killing the author. Okay, a girl is dead. No one does a thing. Business as usual. Our hero, Officer Brody, quite sure of the true nature of the attack on the girl, watches as families enter the shark-infested waters, keeping only his family on land. This is where the shark strikes again. Only this time, it's a boy, and there is no denying the nature of the attack. Now, business as usual, the profitable summer months are threatened. The shark presents an economic crisis for the town, and finally, the mayor rushes to solve it.
Yeah, it's that dolly zoom. Yeah, it's the Hitchcock dolly zoom. It's like so effective in that one scene. Honestly, just watch Jaws. It's a classic. It holds up so well. Really, really well.
A cash prize to the person who slays the shark. A girl and a boy are dead, but still, the real crisis is purely economic. What's good for business? The pressure to ensure profits leads the mayor to opening the beaches again without verifying the right shark is dead. And predictably, another person dies. A man. This time, the problem transcends profits. And
it's called a rack focus, is it?
And morality.
I think it's a combination of all three. I think all three have been used to describe it.
Presented in films such as The Titanic, where women and children must be rescued first, and the men who escape are clever cowards. Here, the film is in on the misogyny.
Brody, for some reason, lets the second victim's mother blame him for the mayor's obstruction. I mean, like, you know, there's only so much I can give a shit about propaganda, right? Because it's kind of propaganda. It's you know, the hero is a cop. In a film where the hero is a cop, it's always like you know, whatever. But I do actually think that, you know, if I were to be a cop, then if I knew that a decision that I had made, which was like to like not let the mayor, you know, actually like let the mayor, you know, do what he wants and stuff like that and not step in kind of thing, then yeah, I would, yeah, because you're part of the problem, right? Do you know what I mean? You're part of the problem. I don't know. If it feels right that he lets her slap him, you know, because he was in charge of the beach that day. I don't fucking know. I don't even know if he was in charge of the beach that day, but like he could have pressed the mayor a bit better, you know what I mean? I don't know. There's also the fact that in the film that he doesn't think that it's that much of a threat too, because he finds the girl and he's like, oh, what, it's a shark? Oh, that's crazy. And then he's like, oh, that's really bad. Oh, you know, maybe we shouldn't let people swim in the water. And I think at the you know, at the end of the day, he's kind of right about shark attacks, because if someone unfortunately gets killed by a shark, it's like so rare. So I don't know. I can't remember in the film if he like does any research about it or whatever, but like, yeah, if a shark kills someone, it's they've done it by accident. They don't eat people. It's not a thing that happens. And then like, you know, to sort of like let people still swim is like, well, yeah, you know, you should, because sharks don't kill people, you know? And then, yeah, just like, it happens again, and then he's like, oh, I should have known better or something. I don't fucking know. It's an interesting part of the film. This is why it's a good film, you know? Hey Shakespeare, how's it going? The Deepwater Horizon oil spill played up much like Jaws, with governors and mayors encouraging tourists to swim in and fish in toxic water. I don't know about the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. I think I probably do know about it, but yeah.
And is in fact critiquing society itself. Jaws provides a clear mirror. Women and children are the first to go, the ones most at risk. I don't mean to justify the misogyny or the way the brutal killing of the girl resonates with the audience, only to acknowledge our society today is as bad as the one portrayed in the fiction. It also recognizes our hero, Chief Martin Brody, is no hero at all, only an obedient lapdog of the law. Yeah, he comes face to face with the shark in a raw display of animalistic masculinity, man against beast, but it's meaningless. His impotence has left 3 dead already.
Yeah.
This moment is not one of redemption, instead a plea for forgiveness.
Hey, Tejan.
The film does water itself down and presents itself as an adventure thriller with a nail-biting climax, as if uncomfortable with its own premise. But if we take Jaws literally, its horror stems from capitalism's inability to adequately respond to ecological crisis.
Yeah, that's literally what Tejan's saying in the chat. It's a critique of carrying on for the benefit of capital of great. Is great. Its critique is great. But a real shame of the damage it did to people's perceptions of sharks. Yeah, well, Steven Spielberg is on record saying, I will never go in the water again because they know what I did to them. Right?
The real horror of Jaws? The idea that perfectly good boats will stay docked on shore, collecting dust, while the profitable summer months just run on by. I think that was good. No, this place is actually cool. I mean, it's quite uncomfortable, right? The idea that... Anyway, cut.
A statement, presidential statement to the American people. But we're not going to tell the press about it ahead of time because that way it'll have the appearance of a breaking emergency, sort of.
Is the video too low, by the way? Am I too loud? I think I'm too loud.
We interrupt this broadcast of Jackpot Fiancé for an emergency message from the President of the United States.
Oh, we're live right now? All right, bet. Hello,
Right.
America. I think truly Don't Look Up is a horror disguised as a satirical comedy. Similarly,
Right.
Get Out, a comedy dressed up like a horror film. The terror was the wealthy white family and the odd, passive black folks' symptoms of their evil. Me and the homies were dying in the theater. I like to imagine Dr. Umar was in the writer's room. It only takes a little bit of white brainwashing to activate. The two genres are both quite good at disarming their audience and getting to the roots of society. Here, I don't mean to be provocative by asking you to bend genres, but is Adam McKay's Don't Look Up not a cosmic horror?
Yeah,
Scientists
sure, it is,
discover
yeah.
an
I
otherworldly
agree.
force, which means the inevitable death of every single being in existence. The final dramatic moments before impact is where the real, unavoidable
Oh, she's so
dread
good in it.
of
Who
their
is she?
predicament settles in.
What's her face?
They discovered the threat, warned the nations of the world, and yet no one did anything. It's not surprising that this film is meant to represent our current ecological crisis. I've been going back and forth on this film where at first I thought it fell into the trap of capitalist
Jennifer
realism.
Lawrence, that's
You know,
it.
it's easier
Yeah,
to
she's so
imagine
good
the
in
end
it.
of the world than it is to imagine
She's
the
so
end
good.
of capitalism. With capitalism now functioning more like a religious ideology that people accept dogmatically. The ideological...
I'm like extremely bad. Oh! Crasher 563, thank you so much for the £3.87. Thank you for subbing off Twitch. Thank you for supporting the stream. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Inconsistencies of it are now subsumed into the natural order, and all the resulting injustices are just the way it is. It's a very...
Yeah, I'm literally so bad at actors. Like, I always feel like so embarrassed, and I just like terrible with people's names in general. If I don't like know someone quite well, like past the point of like having hung out with them at least once, I just don't remember their name, and I'm like, oh no, and then like I'll think that there's someone else, and then it's like, oh shit, obviously not. Oh, it's just so cringe. It's so unbelievably cringe.
Very insidious way to preserve an
Side of the face of the name, not both. Yeah.
Dramatic economic inequality, and to ensure that when faced with potential social reforms, private ownership of the means of production remains unchallenged. The late Mark Fisher in Capitalist Realism Is There No Alternative describes capitalism as a zombie maker, a parasite converting the flesh of the living into
Sir Goosebumps says, don't feel that bad. I don't remember the name of all my roommates, even though I've been living with them for almost a year. Quality.
Labor. It's quite like the cosmic horror present in the Halo games, where in the original trilogy, you are an augmented superhuman soldier, an emotionless shell protecting humanity from a fanatical religious alien faction known as the Covenant, who's trying to bring about ultimate destruction. In the process of an attempted rescue mission, you retrace the steps of missing UNSC troopers through an irregular environment, a place that feels almost like a ghost town. A Marine you do find is irrationally ranting and shooting.
Has anyone done, like, by the way, has anyone done like a parody video essay yet? Has that happened yet? Because I feel like there's a gap in the market. Right? For some reason then, when he started talking about Halo, it kind of like... so I think something like broke in my brain and it made me feel like it was really unserious. You know? I don't know. Like, you know, like, I'm just thinking like of a parody where it's like, you know, I was watching Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure this weekend, and I realized it's about HIV. Do you know what I mean? Or just something ridiculous and insane, and then like try and make it like, you know, match up somehow with like just by being like absurd things. And like Abby Thorne had like an April Fool's anime video essay. Is that right? Shan Spear likes to parody people in her essays, but usually like right-wing pundits. No, not parodying people. I mean like a parody of a video essay to be like, here's the point where I show you an ad. I don't know. Gourd VPN, and it's just like a gourd, and it's not a VPN. I don't know, something dumb like that. I don't know.
Without question, unable to remember even the famous hero of humanity.
Stay back! You're not turning me into one of those things! I'll blow your brains!
Yeah, it feels like H-Bomber Guy might have done that, yeah.
It's when you play a recording left behind by the Marines you're looking for, you uncover the cosmic horror behind the missing troops and frightened Covenant. The Flood. A decayed, parasitic alien which devours the life of every being in the universe. In your struggle out of the facility, you fight former Covenant and UNSC Marines alike. The Flood indiscriminately consuming, then converting that which stood against it. Much like how even anti-capitalist media is consumed and converted into commodities. Or the inverse.
Sorry, but that bit just made me feel like it was so unserious. Maybe it's because of the way that I'm like thinking about my current video essay and how that's gonna like pan out that I'm thinking this, but it was just like, oh, something about that comparison just broke my brain. Hey Kumatori, welcome in. I reckon people have gone to make parodies for certain media, but then accidentally made a good exploration. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Amazon, one of the worst offenders in ecological damages, is committing to climate pledge friendly products.
Introducing Climate Pledge Friendly, Amazon's new way to easily discover more sustainable products.
Approved by one of the 43 external certifications, including governmental agencies, nonprofits, and independent laboratories to help them distinguish more sustainable products. I could show you all the products that have the badge, like Tide Pods or the K-Cup compatible teas and coffees that are unnecessarily more wasteful by design, and walk you through them undercounting their carbon footprint. But you know this. Google how to get the climate-friendly badge, and my Amazon guy will tell you how to navigate the system, and that the whole thing is a marketing gimmick.
That's right.
Third parties sustainability certification. There's multiple different certifications that are out there, and there's another page that I will share.
Damn, chat, should I make myself that small? Is that how small like a streamer should be? Hold up. Hold up. There we go. No one should be any bigger than this. In fact, she's actually smaller than this. There we go. All right. Now we've reached optimum streamer.
There's multiple different certifications that are out there, and there's another page that I will share in a moment on
Hey Crasher, welcome to the stream. How you doing?
And what certifications your product might be eligible
Yeah, I'm almost
for.
as big as you now. Almost
Amazon
as big
has
as you now,
created their
Shafiq.
own certification called Compact by Design.
But in a desperate way, the climate-friendly badge, you know, they know it's a farce yet they're doing it anyway, is reason to hope. What Fisher did in his book was mainly two ways to break through
just kidding, it's a
realism,
joke.
education, and bureaucracy. He highlights climate change as a contested zone, already a site where politicization is being fought for. Fisher is definitely right, but I think climate change is a key issue to hold firm on. The sign of any environmental advocacy
Am I
being
bigger than
pointless
before
is when
now? I
people
can't
know
tell.
the greenwashing is a facade, and when corporations no longer do it, when they no longer try to pretend to be part of the solution. This is where me and Don't Look Up differ tremendously. In the film, all hope was lost before they even discovered the asteroid. However, it's rather interesting in the way it critiques the current approach to climate change advocacy. You must believe the scientists, you must read the research, and so on. Of course, the science obviously shows a human-produced threat to global ecology. This is from the United States Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA. It is unequivocal that human influence has warmed the atmosphere, ocean, and land. But as time has shown, by the continued struggle to push for meaningful action to address the issue, and as Matthew T. Herbert pointed out in Climate Change as Class War, climate politics rooted in knowledge has limitations. Don't Look Up depicts a world where climate change rooted in science alone was not enough to get the world to listen.
Yeah.
Our protagonist scientist
It's
Dr.
true.
Randall Mindy, the one who plots.
There's like an unfortunate thing with people, yeah, where like when people smarter than us say to us, this is a thing that's happening and it sounds completely bonkers, we're just like, no, it isn't. And I feel that with having like ODD in it, you know what I mean? Like people are always saying like, this is great, this thing's amazing, this is that. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm never going to look at any of that stuff now. So it's like, I get it. I get that people are on this anti-intellectual tip. I get that people, because, there's a lot of people at the minute telling people like how to act and what to do. And, people don't fucking like that shit. I watched a really good Khadija and Bowe video. Not yesterday. Oh, no, it was yesterday. Yeah, I watched it yesterday with my partner. And it was about holding people accountable online, like cancel culture and all this kind of stuff. And it was really, really fucking good because it was like, while we're out here sort of like demanding that people like remove themselves from a space or like don't ever like, interact with this person, otherwise you're a baddie, and all this kind of stuff. And like, just painting people as wrong for like, disagreeing with people as to, like tiny little myopic things, etc., etc., etc. Like there's all these kind of things like interlink with like how people are sort of becoming more and more anti-science, anti-intellectual, right? And it's like there needs to be a point where we turn around to each other and we just like go, okay, listen, we don't have time for this, right? We don't fucking have time for this. The planet is gonna fucking die. We need to change this shit. And luckily, the planet is on fire, and also people's living conditions are also on fire, right? So this is like a unique time where we could be like, unifying the working class and saying like, look, the material conditions that we all suffer are extremely shit. You stop being fucking racist and let's just fucking like do this, right? Do you know what I mean? It's like, obviously it's not as easy as that. You're not just going to stop people being racist by like, oi, stop being racist. It's like, it's just fucked, right? It's just so fucked that it's like everybody is going to suffer so much, right? It would be great if we could just wave a magic wand and just be like, right, for a minute, shut the fuck up. We've got to do this. And I think that that's why most people do what I just said, where it's like people will turn around and be like, stop being problematic, right? And it's like, where does that get you, right? Where does that get you? It's like, stop doing this, stop doing that, stop doing that. You can't do that. You can't do this. Whereas, like, even I think just, like, sometimes slightly changing the phrasing of, like, how we talk about things. Where it's like, oh, you know, it might be beneficial for us to put these issues aside at the moment because we're aware that there's something bigger happening, you know. So, anyway. Dampira Anima. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I might be too cynical for this stuff because I've met too many people willing to damn themselves if the people they hate also get screwed. Yeah, I mean, like, here's the thing. It's just something that we just have to, like, I think, talk about more and change, right? It's fine. You can just tell me how to say your name. It's don't worry. You know. It's an opportunity to expose racists to the truth of their own bigotry as people have to come together in solidarity. Right, this is a thing, do you know what I mean? And I don't think anyone's trying to say that we should be organizing with racists or stuff like that. But it's like, you know, it's like, I'll give you a prime example, right? I was hanging out with my dad today and I was listening to A Tribe Called Quest. There is a tune by A Tribe Called Quest that came on and it's called Sucker N-Word, right? And in that tune, you know, they say the N-word a lot, right? And my dad turned around to me and said, did he just say and said the N-word? And, like, I've said to my dad, like, so many times, like, explain to him what slurs are like and this, that, and the other and rotata and blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And I'm like, you know, he said it and I'm like, Dad, you know, like, he can say it because he's black. Like, that, I don't understand what you don't understand. Like, it's a word that was used to, you know, oppress black people, and it even talks about it in the tune. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, he's not listening because he doesn't like hip hop, and you know, and I, you know, like, it's that argument again, right? Of like, if your dad is being problematic and not understanding stuff and like saying slurs and shit like that, you've got to ask yourself, right? What's the harm that's being done here? Does he regularly go out and beat up black people, right? Does he interact with black people in any kind of way? The likelihood is if he uses slurs, probably not. And does he have like a YouTube channel or like a position of power with which he's telling people that it's good to be racist and actually we should say these words because that's it, right? If the answer to those questions is no, then what harm is your dad actually doing? Like, what is he doing? Is he hurting anybody by doing this? He might be stressing you out, you know, because it's like, you know that it's like bad for him to do this. But like what is clearly the case with my dad in this situation that is after like fucking years and years and years and years and years, and I mean years, because I knew it was fucking bad to say the N-word like since I was 12, you know, years of saying like, Dad, you can't say that, Dad, you can't say that, Dad, you can't say that. Like, he doesn't care, he's not listened, he's not absorbed any of it. He just like fucking doesn't give a shit. He just doesn't know black people in it. He just doesn't get it. And it's like, right, okay, so, you know, am I gonna waste my energy by like trying to hold my dad accountable for like all the bad things that he's done, the bad things being saying the N-word, making racist jokes, all this kind of stuff, right? Or do I use my energy to like try and organize with people who are definitely not like that? Right? I guess what I'm trying to say is that, like, I think that we get, like, very, 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 very hooked up. And this is what Khadija was talking about in her video yesterday. And she was saying, like, we have to talk about how much harm is being done. You know what I mean? And we have to realize where our energy is going and why we absolutely need to spend that time that we would otherwise spend having to go at people online, getting mad at each other online for like not quite doing the right thing, not quite adhering to the dogma that we agree with, and just sort of like shut the fuck up about that and spend that time now being like, we got to organize. Do you know what I mean? We have to fucking organize. And that's kind of what I'm talking about with regards to this, because it's like, you know, we don't actually like have any more time left to do this stuff. We don't have any more time for like, you know, people to just be wasted. Like, I haven't been on Twitter in so long. You've probably noticed this, chat. I've not been on Twitter in fucking ages. and my life is infinitely better. And I know people are going to say things like, oh, Twitter's important for disabled people to organize and stuff like that. And like, yeah, I get that. I do get that. I really, really do. Speaking of which, I actually have another resource here. Activism from home. There it is. If you're a disabled person and you want to organize, check out that link. That's a pretty good resource from what I've heard. Anyway, but like generally speaking, discourse about like whatever's been going on Twitter, like I imagine there's been like 5 different things that have gone on Twitter that people have been like super fucking mad about, and I've missed it, and it has not affected my life negatively in the slightest, right? Do you know what I mean? And I just think that, like, again, this is why the title of the stream is what it is. Oh, actually, it's not. That's not the title anymore. The title has changed. But the title of the stream was initially, we cannot just sit around waiting for a better world to happen. We have to fucking do something. And I kept thinking about this the other day. I kept thinking, we need to get a bit more serious, right? And that doesn't mean get serious and like sour-faced and like sat there and do class reductionism and all this stuff. Like, I don't mean any of that. I just mean we have to get a bit fucking serious, right? Right, exactly. The world is on fire and we're arguing about the messaging on the buckets that we need to put it out. Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it, Shafiq. Yeah. I don't know how Frank's going to go into this, but let's see how the essay develops. But yeah, that's my thoughts on what he was just talking about.
Out the path of the asteroid, along with PhD student Kate DiBiase, who the asteroid is named after, begin the film advocating that the government takes drastic action to stop the asteroid.
So how certain is this?
There's 100% certainty of impact.
Please, don't say 100%.
Can we just call it a potentially significant event?
We watch as they desperately try
see you later, Dave. Thanks for being here.
Avail. Throughout the film, Dr. Mindy flips sides and is used to legitimize the corporation's idiotic plan to get rich off the asteroid.
Right now, millions of you are having these same doubts and questions about the approaching comet. That is why Bass Cellular, in conjunction with the United States government, is creating a new hotline, free of charge, to answer all of your questions.
He, once an ally, is now filled with nothing but the will of capital. He's been consumed by the flood. I quite like this aspect of the film as it shows the fragility of this stance as an access for climate change advocacy. It also inadvertently highlights the fundamental issue that even if everyone in the world were to look up, they'd still be utterly powerless to force the governments of the world to stop the asteroid. Herbert discusses how using existing forms of organized labor, unions in the energy sector, to disrupt the market and bring about much needed shifts away from unsustainable energy is a realistic way to address the climate crisis. I find this, while still difficult, a very practical approach that addresses the fundamental issue we face today, the lack of any real democratic power.
And I say, you know, we say this all the time. I speak about it on Red Planet. We spoke about it on Red Planet last night. Like, chat, join a union. And you might think, like, what's the point of joining a union? And it's like, okay, let me tell you the point of joining a union. You join a union, you sit there at a branch meeting, you discuss what's going on in your job. Everybody hates it. Everybody thinks it sucks. Ways to improve it. You take that to the boss. You say, this is what we want. The boss says no. You go on strike, right? Once you're on strike, the business tanks. They realize that they absolutely need you and they need to cave to your demands. They cave to your demands, right? Rinse and repeat till you get to a point where you realize, actually, there's so many of us in the union now because the union's so effective that we could just actually seize the means of production here. We could actually just own this workplace between ourselves and we could decide what happens. Right? So, you know, when you're thinking about what is the point of joining a union, because I think that sometimes this topic is divorced from each other. When you create a worker-owned co-op, right, through union action, through, you know, consistent union action, right, to the point where you literally get the boss out of the picture, all of a sudden, yous are all the boss, right? You've seized the means of production. That's what's happened, right? Once that has happened, then people will start to realize, this money thing's a bit of a fucking laugh, isn't it? Right? We just make stuff and, you know, we're making way too much. You know, the people who are buying stuff off us, they're not even like selling all the stuff that they get, right? So why are we doing that? If you have a bunch of different companies, like for example, this is why factories are so fucking important, chat. Like, you know, and the automation of factories is so interesting and so unique in terms of like something that was probably not fucking like predicted by Marx or whoever. Because it's like, okay, so nowadays you only need like 10 people to run a fucking factory. And one of those factories, chat, might be the Barillo factory, the one that we watched a couple of months ago or maybe a month ago, where they make enough pasta to feed the world after 18 months. Not the entire world, but like the world for like one meal, right? After 18 months. That's a lot of fucking pasta. Yeah? How many people does it take to run that fucking factory? It won't be a lot. You know, even including the farmers. You get all of those people to collaborate together and seize the means of production. Holy fucking shit. Then you've got the conquest of bread, right? That's like taking food and going, actually, no, we own the food reserves now. We're going to give food, not just, you know, to supermarkets and stuff like that. The workers can actually vote to give food to people for now. Because why not? Right? Might sound like a pipe dream, but fundamentally, that's what the point in unionizing is. Prince Ibidal says a pizzeria in Ohio let the employees have 100% of the profits for a day as a show of appreciation. For that day, the employees made the equivalent of $78 an hour. Right, imagine if you went to work and you made $78 an hour. In a month, you would make, hang on, let's do a bit of quick maths. Yeah, that's the true value of their labor, yeah? Right. I always say quick maths and it takes fucking hours. 78 times 8 equals 624 quid. 624 quid a day. You have to work for 2 days a month and you're done. You're done. Right? So when you learn about that shit and when you realize that that is the true value of your labor under capitalism, yeah? Well, it's not under capitalism, is it? Well, it is under capitalism. It's, you know, that's how much money your boss has been stealing from you, right? Yeah. So Vordarello is all done times 30. You wouldn't work 30 days a month, would you? You wouldn't work 30 days a month. Let's take away 8 from that for weekends, yeah? And so, chat, I hate that maths is so good for doomerism. What was it? 624. Because I'm just so bad at it. Times, so 30 take away 8, so that'd be 22. So you work about 22 days a month, 13 grand. That's a year's wage for a lot of people, right? In a month. You work for a month, you're sorted, yeah? Once you realize that money is this meaningless, it's meaningless. It's a meaningless number. Once you realize that that's actually how much money you would make if you owned the means of production, if you seized the means of production, it starts to become a joke, and you start to be like, there's too much money. There's too much money. This is everything that's wrong with the world. This is why things were fucked up. We should never let anyone make this amount of money ever again. Fuck it. We're cancelling money. We're just giving people food. You know? Honestly, even take away more than 8 days for weekends, and in that kind of money, you wouldn't work all those hours. I'm sort of using this as like just an example, Tejan. Like, yeah, okay, in an ideal world, yeah, you wouldn't work that many days if you were earning 100% of the profits, you know, based on distributing them equally between the workers, right? You know? Six times as many people could be gainfully employed. People could live fat by working 2 months each year, and 6 times as many people could be gainfully employed. Right, exactly. So, you know, that's one of the key elements of neoliberal capitalism, right? Is that there aren't enough jobs for everybody. That's a fact. Even with all the bullshit jobs that we've created as a society, there still aren't enough jobs for everybody. Right? So there's always going to be unemployed people. So there's always that threat that you are like the underclass, the underdog. You know what I mean? You're one step away from being a prisoner. you know? And there's definitely enough labor out there to go around. 100%.
Have some of my meaningless numbers. S.
Adorable. Thank you so much for the £5. Thank you for subbing off Twitch. Thank you for supporting the stream. Yeah, the work could be spread thinner and everyone will be comfortable and happy. And this would be the case even without the money. Take the money out of the equation. Just remove the money from the equation altogether. And then it's like, well, holy fucking shit. How much would you need to work to feed everyone? Right? Because then the bullshit jobs. I think we figured this out on Red Planet last night, that the David Graeber's book, Bullshit Jobs, 40% of jobs that we have in the Imperial Core are jobs that need to happen, right? So that's 40% of the workforce. And I don't even know if that's in the Imperial Core. That might even be worldwide, right? So 40% of the jobs that exist are necessary for, you know, things like feeding people, healthcare, all this shit, yeah? So then 60% of the people who are employed, which is a lot of people, chat, right? A lot of people would be free to do nothing, right? But no one's going to do nothing, are they? No one's going to do nothing at all. People are going to want to do shit. And I remember really, really, really like when I was, yeah, growing up and thinking about jobs and shit like that and like what I want to do, you know, in my life as like a career and stuff like that. I actually used to think all the time, I want to do something that's like important. Yeah? I want to do something important. I always thought that. I thought, well, I want to be a rock star. Well, if I can't be a rock star, I'll do something quote unquote important. Yeah. So I don't know. I'll go and be like a farmer or something. I'll go and like, you know, be a doctor or something like this. And then like sitting it and it's like, yeah, okay. Actually, like, yeah, I can't do any of that stuff because I'm not qualified. And also there's like enough farmers and like, it would be, you know, it wouldn't be like feasible for me to like go out and work on a farm for a weekend or something like that. You know what I mean? All this kind of shit. Yeah. Hey, Fengji, by the way, welcome in. Yes, exactly, Enderpig. We got a taste of this in 2020. We got a taste of this in 2020. I actually saw a BBC report, and obviously, you know, the BBC, pile of shit, horrible cunts. We all know this. But I actually saw a BBC report that I agreed with today. And it was about the mental health thing under lockdown, right? And it said, studies find that mental health was not that bad under lockdown, or something to that effect, right? And I actually agree. I think my mental health was better than it ever was under lockdown. That might not be true for everybody, but the thing is that like you were able, like, I don't do with like working a quote unquote normal job, right? I don't do well with it. You know, I've got ODD, chat. When people tell me to do things, I get so fucking mad at them. Yeah, I get so fucking mad at them. It just makes me hate them. I become resentful. I quit. I move on. It's been my entire life. It's been my entire fucking life. I've worked a job. People have got mad at me because, like, you know, they want you to do stuff. And I'm like, there's nothing to do. What are you talking about? I'm just saying normal stuff. And they're like, that's not how things work. Because their job's worse, right? And then I get mad, I quit, I can't stand people telling me what to do, and then I get another job. That's been my entire life of working like quote-unquote normal jobs, yeah? But in lockdown, when I didn't have like someone breathing over my fucking shoulder all the time, it was fine. I worked like a 9-to-5 regular job, and it was like, dope, this rocks. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's fucking cool. Like, you know, I'm getting paid and like, yeah, I got a bit of work to do, but like mostly I just got to like sit here at the PC. I was watching a bunch of Twitch streams. I was like doing stuff for my like Twitch in the background and shit. And I was like, yo, this fucking rocks. It's like, I think, you know, the people who really thought that lockdown affected their mental health, i.e. not being able to go out and get blasted at the weekend, not being able to go out for brunch with the besties, shit like that, are people who just weren't like you know, based. Like, they're just not based people, because that's like their whole lives. It's not their fault. It's like, if your entire life is based on like who you're seen with at the weekend, what you're doing, how drunk you get at the pub, the fucking laughs that you had because you got too drunk and you threw up down your new fucking jacket or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, all these like meaningless not self-indulgent, because self-indulgence is fine, but like actually like self-harming stuff. And you like these things because capital has told you it's okay to like these things. Like, that's what it is. And that was the real, quote unquote, mental health issue. And I think the real, quote unquote, mental health issue that people were having is that they were realizing that they were in the Matrix. I think that's what happened, you know? Yeah. A lot of people don't know how to interact outside of work and alcohol. Yeah, it's true. So that's that. That's that. Listen, I can't even remember why I started talking about this. Let's finish the video.
What Fisher called reflexive impotence, a worldview he described as common among young British students but can be expanded to include the feelings of the working class, is summed up as they know things are bad and they know they can't do anything about it. Fisher deemed this a self-fulfilling prophecy. Reflexive impotence is not so much a self-fulfilling prophecy as it is a reflection of our current predicament. As Herbert illustrates, business groups and the world's economic elite have the most impact on state policy. Also, the majority of people don't own the means of production and are dependent on the privately owned market to gain their living. Herbert states, the lack of control over material production itself is what leads to the specific experience of powerlessness over the ecological crisis today. Not only do the majority of people lack meaningful control in their workplace, but also over the very media they consume, as Noam Chomsky and Edward Herman described in Manufacturing Consent.
Which is why you need to seize the means, not just of production, but the means of communication. I can't remember if Frank Laundrie was this based when I watched his last video, but it was like a year or two ago, so...
News is biased toward the global elite through specific filters, effectively creating the propaganda model. The 5 filters being 1, ownership, 2, advertising, 3, the media elite, 4, flack, and 5, the common enemy. A common enemy, a boogeyman to fear, helps corral public opinion. Again, art horror is a necessary part.
So people need constant distraction as quiet self-reflection horrifies them. Yeah, true, but that's not their fault. Right, that's the psyche that neoliberal capitalism inflicts upon people, isn't it? Because if people sit down, like everybody in cities and in jobs and stuff like that is rushed off their feet all the fucking time. They got no time to sit and think, so they've been unable to do so for fucking decades in some regards, right? You know, I'm a strong believer that this is why my mum simply tolerates my beliefs and doesn't actually listen to me or attempt to understand them, because for her it would mean that she's wasted her entire life, right? You know what I mean? It's like my mom has her entire life like given it to the grind. She's given everything to the grind. And I think if she can, you know, she can't reckon with the fact that she's done that when I'm like pointing it out to her. But what she doesn't understand is that like I'm still in the grind. Twitch is the grind, technically. You know, I need it to eat and shit and pay rent and all the same shit that she's had to do, right? You know? Damn, same for my dad. Yeah, the capitalists won't even let you sit and think while you're shitting. Yeah, the time is clocked. That's what it is. That's what it is. You know? Anyway.
To manufacturing consent. I'm not calling the media fake news, only biased. While the majority of the working class today are not conscious of the root cause of this reflexive impotence, and it is necessary to break through capitalist realism to illustrate it, capitalist realism is very much supported by the markets, by the material conditions which the working class sustain themselves. It's why organizing labor is crucial. To know you are forced to engage in an inherently exploitative system doesn't change the fact you are in an inherently exploitative system. Don't Look Up confirms. Yeah. Knowing the problem isn't actually addressing the problem.
That's right.
Looking up in and of itself isn't radical. The turn of phrase in the title Don't Look Up, meant to encapsulate the level to which humanity will avoid reality. All that needs to be done to confirm the current climate crisis is to look it up, opens Don't Look Up to further criticism. What is to be done after looking up?
I'm looking at it right now too. It's unbelievable. It's horrific and it's beautiful at the same time.
This is the question the film never meaningfully answers.
Right.
Looking up to the stars morphs into more of a wasteful luxury than anything else. Jordan Peele's Nope, while about something completely unrelated, seems to be the perfect answer to the outrage in Don't Look Up, inspired by those who refuse to just look up. I'll keep this brief. I don't want to spoil this film, even though a good film can't really be spoiled, even if you know the ending.
Based! Frank Laundrie is now my favorite YouTuber. Holy shit.
That's
He's fucking right, and he should say it.
One hot take for this video.
He's right, and he should say it.
The successful entrepreneur is profiting from the very action of looking up, and ultimately this, what in Don't Look Up seems to be a radical thing to do, is not only a form of passivity, but leads to avoidable death. Yes, looking up was necessary in identifying the problem, but the effective response becomes an intentional avoidance while actively combating the problem. Putting your head down and getting to work, so to speak. Here, Nope clearly shows that looking up runs the risk of turning the problem into a spectacle, and that the most beautiful sights will blind you before they strike, which is what we see happen in Don't Look Up.
I'm looking at it right now too. It's unbelievable. It's horrific and it's beautiful at the same time.
Looking Up here was unfortunately always portrayed as not only meaningless, but harmful. It ruined the lives of our protagonists before DiBiase landed. I was questioning, why would I ever look up if you were only meant to be miserable in the truth? Unfortunately, Don't Look Up doesn't escape the trap of capitalist realism, and any revolutionary element of the film is lost, replaced with some absurd, dare I say, welcoming of the supposedly unavoidable climate doom. Don't Look Up, if meant to spur climate action from the masses, comes across as a failure. Imagine on a sinking boat, I put on the Titanic instead of the tutorial unloading the plentiful lifeboats. This is quite frustrating because the film is clever even in the way it combines an imaginary Hillary with an imaginary Trump as a subtle critique of both political parties, and yet it provides no alternative to the end of the world.
Right.
No reasonable path.
This was why Don't Look Up sucked. Yeah, I agree.
Just a story where failure was inevitable. Even an obvious political
Doomerism,
satire supports the system it's trying to critique, quickly consumed by the flood. What is central in Don't Look Up is a horror in knowledge. Mindy and DiBiase live out their final days knowing everything they love will perish. This is what draws me to Lovecraft's work. It's not the fear of knowledge or fear inspired by the lack of knowledge, but the fear brought on by the uncovering of the always present, unavoidable truth of your predicament. The more that's pulled, the more that unravels, the more desperate it feels. Lovecraft developed a strong sense of isolating sanity in a world where everyone else is living in a unified bliss of ignorance. It is the horror that is unavoidable, no matter if you deny its existence.
Chat, say hi to Be Real.
Coming. This comedy managed to capture the cosmic nihilism of Lovecraft better than the majority of the straight adaptations. Lovecraft said himself, "The world is indeed comic, but
you got 1 minute 40
on mankind."
Sorka with the first. I'm waiting.
Lovecraft's Color Out of Space, a story where a meteorite lands in some rural farmer's yard and begins to seep a color into the trees, the soil, and the well the family drinks from, leaves the reader with an eerie sense.
Like 90% of chat don't know what Be Real is. Be Real, let me explain it to you real quick. It's like an app where you can't upload photos. You have to just take a picture of what's going on right now. So, say hi to Be Real, everybody. I know there's more than 10 people in here right now. Come on. If you're lurking, I get it. If you're lurking, don't worry about it. But, there you go. No idea. Vordrella doesn't even know. Vordrella doesn't even know what Be Real is. But, he said that anyway. Hey, look at that. That's what we like to see. Yeah, there we go. There we fucking go. All right, chat. 3, 2, 1. Wait, no, I gotta do it again. No, wait, I gotta do it again. It was out of focus. All right. Okay, cool. We did it, chat. Well done. Not me being yeah, I'm gonna pause the video until people say hello to my silly social media. Yeah, Such a fucking prick. Right, so Frank's just brought in Color Out of Space. Color Out of Space, it's okay. I like it. It's not a bad film. It's just kind of one of those. It's like, you know, I just wasn't a fan of some of the execution of it. The CGI really killed it for me. I know it would be hard to recreate the film with practical effects alone, but the CGI just, yeah, it's just not my cup of tea. It's not my cup of tea. Yeah, but there you go.
Dread. It's a slow yet nail-biting story as the color changes everything exposed to
Nicolas Cage is great in it.
The family, the gardeners, are tied to the land and can't grow edible crops. Their livestock dies or runs away. They are unable to sell the land for more prosperous pastures if they even had the desire to. As they drown in the color, they lose themselves as one by one their sanity either escapes them or they're lost to the glow. This is different from The Shadow over Innsmouth, partly as you know the ending as soon as you begin their tale, and yet the most terrifying part is the fact it's still spreading. Slowly, the color is inching its way through the town and consuming everything in its path. While not as dramatic as Don't Look Up's Asteroid Dibiaski, it spells the same ending. Though there is no moment of collective recognition or a chance to choose your final moments, just a subtle devouring of everything.
Also, hey, Go Ride, how's it going?
Pessimistic view of the world, and it's this that underpins capitalist realism. It's a strange comfort I feel in stories like this, like an absurd embrace of
Alright, see you later, Base Junkie.
I've come to see capitalist realism as pervasive not only because of our material conditions, but also because of its comfort. It's easier to imagine the end of the world than to imagine the end of capitalism. It is quite literal. To confront capitalist realism internally is a violent process, as tearing down a fantasy always is.
Yeah.
In this view, both art horror and cosmic horror would seem to be ineffective approaches to the horror genre if your goal is to challenge the status quo, but this misses the radical potency hidden in both of these subgenres.
Here, The Fly is quite remarkable. Veronica, our emotional signifier, humanizes Brundlefly until he is no longer recognizably human.
God. Oh, God. Seth.
You look so pretty.
What happened?
She is art horrified by his presence, yet she still cares for him. This intentional confrontation with art horror is necessary to overcome it. The true horror of The Fly isn't even the humanoid man fly, but Veronica's unwanted pregnancy, a pregnancy fathered by Brundlefly.
Oh yeah, this bit. Yeah.
Fills her mind with horrible premonitions of a demonic, miraculous birth. The film shows her controlling X, who was somewhat of an antagonist early in the film, is necessary for her to acquire an abortion.
That's why, yeah, he's sleazy, he's creepy, he's a controlling X. Yeah, I realize, yeah. I've remembered about the film now. I should watch this again. I should watch this film.
Brundlefly then kidnaps her from the hospital before she can go through with her abortion, robbing her of any of the limited autonomy that was provided to her. The true horror of The Fly is natural. The art horror is an entertaining element that draws in the audience, while the movie delves deeper into issues underpinning society.
Even
oh my God, The Mist! It's The Mist! Yeah, The Mist is a great film.
The case in Frank Darabont's The Mist, where a group of shoppers find themselves trapped together in a grocery store as the world is engulfed in a dense ice.
By the way, if you're gonna watch The Mist, try and get the black and white version, or just like change your TV or computer or whatever you're watching it on to black and white, because that's the way it was supposed to be watched, and it changes the experience so much. It's a lot cooler. It's a lot better.
Isolating Mist. The shoppers forced into a paralyzing stasis are confronted with a choice when a nameless mother stands out from the crowd.
Trying to figure out what happened.
I'm sorry. I can't just stay here. I have to get home to my kids.
Of course,
hey, Alejandro. Yeah, the Fly remake made you feel sick. Yeah, it's fucking intense.
She neglects her safety and steps into the mist. As the cosmic monsters hidden in the mist reveal themselves, it's fair to assume she never makes it home and are
an option for movie night. The Fly, that is. We could watch The Fly on movie night for sure. Yeah. Is this based on the Stephen King story? Yes, it is. Like all good horror films. Half the cast of The Walking Dead is in this movie. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Personality loosens as one by one they watch one another die.
There's nothing out there. Nothing in the mist.
What if you're wrong?
Then I guess joke would be on me. After all.
This line for me is notable. This tells us the nature of the events to come and the entire purpose of this film. The Mist is playing a cruel, practical joke, and this moment is nothing more than a red herring, a bluff, disguising who the joke is really on. The film makes no attempt at hiding its real terror, foreshadowing the spread of religious fanaticism as the survivors, now divided, express that their fear of their neighbors is greater than the monsters in the Mist.
Yes!
She'll have 4 more.
It's so good.
When those things come back, she'll have a congregation, and then we can start worrying about who she's gonna sacrifice to make it all better.
Our main protagonist, David Drayton, and his group rationalize as just human nature to justify terror while afraid. Eventually, the film seemingly confirms this as the emerging cult begins to sacrifice people to the monster. This echoes themes similar to William Golding's Lord of the Flies, where, boys stranded on an island start killing each other out of sadistic enjoyment. This would be an improper reading of The Mist. In Lord of the Flies, Golding tells a story of how evil is an innate characteristic of humanity, represented in the deserted boys who, once left to their own devices without any authority, a proper hierarchy, quickly commit acts of cruel, meaningless
fuck Lord of the
violence
Flies.
for the sake of
all my
simple
homies hate Lord of the Flies.
The Lord of the Flies is unashamedly pro-hierarchy, the systems of power, and so on. Law and order. The Mist is, and I know this is controversial, quite the opposite. The cause for the entire conflict is laid at the feet of the military.
Yep.
The blind faith, the passive
It's such a
acceptance the
good
town
fucking
had toward
film.
The government is thrown directly in their face through cosmic horrors and the bodies of their neighbors. It was their trust in law and order, the status quo, the hegemonic state that the film is assaulting. When faced with the impossible art horrors of cosmic nihilism, the film also shows how quickly religious ideology can emerge as a comforting explanation and what horrors will be permitted in the desire for safety. This is not human nature, but the nature of ideology. It shields itself from interpretation.
Lord of the Flies is great for one thing, proving itself wrong and tearing it apart, right?
Quietly camouflaging itself as part of the natural order, as is the case with capitalist realism. It's much clearer in the book, but this town was already susceptible to religious fanaticism before the seams of existence literally tore open. It's not till the last 5 minutes of the film that it cements itself as truly revolutionary. Unfortunately, Stephen King has sentenced anyone who spoils the last 5 minutes to hang from the neck until they're dead, so let's wrap this up, folks.
Yeah, don't spoil The Mist. It's like it's like, obviously I'm not going to spoil it. Like, I'm desperately trying not to spoil it right now. But it's like, it's not that this one point in the story ruins the whole film, but it's like, it's just so really good. It's just really, really good. The whole journey is like amazing from start to finish. And I would argue it's like one twist that is like, holy fucking shit. Do you know what I mean? It was Earth all along, you damn dirty apes. Yeah. Hey, Middle-earth Marxist.
Okay, he's probably gone. I will proceed to spoil the film. Fair warning, it's quite disturbing.
Okay, so yeah. Trigger warning for mental health and suicide. So he is gonna spoil the film. It's up to you. If you want to miss this part of the stream, that's up to you. But like, you will still enjoy it if you watch it. Your enjoyment of it may even be enhanced with like knowing the end of the film. But yeah. Anyway,
warnings for mental health and suicide. David, along with 4 other survivors, including his son Jack, were forced to traverse the mist as the fanatics were planning on sacrificing them one by one, presumably till the mist lifted. Filled with tentative hope, they drive through nothing but mist and destruction until they can't drive anymore. With the tank now empty, they access their options: go on foot or bite the bullet.
Well, we gave it a good shot.
At this point in the film, all hope is lost. It's an easy choice, except they're a bullet short.
4 bullets.
There's 5 of us.
David, the unelected leader, freely gives up his chance at a quick and painless death. We watch in horrible misery as he sobs uncontrollably, exits the car, and demands death, when suddenly the mist clears. If I'm being honest, as soon as the mist cleared, I laughed in uncontrollable horror. Oh my god, this was the funniest thing I've seen all 2022, and at the same time, the most depressing.
Yeah.
The unnamed mother even glances defiantly from the comfort of the heavily protected truck, holding her children alive and well. The film rewarded her selfless devotion to those she loved and her suicidal hope in the face of danger. The film was in all of its cosmic horror playing a joke on the audience through David. The message is clear. Even when all hope is lost, you mustn't give...
Feet's asking me, that's Thomas Jane's, isn't it? Thomas Jane? After I've just said I have no idea about names of people. Yes, it is Thomas Jane. Yes, there you go.
Give up hope, because all it might take is a minute for the mist to clear. This moment of...
Oh, he was in Deep Blue Sea. No way. No fucking way.
Cruel comedy managed to capture the cosmic nihilism of Lovecraft better than the majority of straight adaptations, while simultaneously defying it. I do consider The Mist a radical film today because hope is a necessity to any social movement. No story to...
Yeah, so that's what it is, Shakespeare. Yeah, it's a cautionary tale against doomerism. Like, I would argue that The Mist is the most accurate sort of analogy for what is happening now with climate change, right? So I really love that Frank Laundrie has made this video, and it's so good. And I know that a couple of other people are making videos about this very same thing at the moment, right? And it's something that I've been speaking about a lot. It's something that lots of people speak about, but it's the fact that lots of people view climate change as the end of the world. It will not be the end of the world. It won't even be the end of humanity. Right? It's going to make a lot of people suffer. And that's why we need to organize. That's why we need to end capitalism. Because in order to make those people suffer less, we need to turn the world into one based on love and compassion and understanding for each other. We're going to have to learn to love and live with each other because we're going to be forced to. Right? Whether we fucking like it or not. Doesn't matter how much the Tory government demands that small boats stop coming over the channel. They will come. The boats will fucking come. And they will soon be coming at such a rate that even the gammons, if they manage to find themselves a catapult attacking them all in the water and shit like that, won't be able to stop them. Won't be able to stop them. There'll be that many people coming. You know, whether it's to England, whether it's to like fucking France, whether it's to Italy, whether it's wherever, people will be desperate to escape the imperial periphery where shit is going to go down, right? And so, you know, this is why doomerism is so fucked. And that's why it relates so much to The End of the Mist, where it's like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. What are we going to do? Well, you know what? We tried to escape it. We couldn't. Let's kill ourselves. And then they find out, oh, actually, we should have just held on. And in fact, by abandoning and running away from the place that was like falling apart and shit like that, we actually gave up one of the most powerful things that you could do in a situation like that, which is resistance, right? It becomes a difficult environment for them to resist. Not gonna lie, they do start like trying to like fucking sacrifice them or something like that, if I remember correctly. But again, it's kind of like the reason it gets that bad is because they kind of sit there for a while, you know, not really knowing what to do and not really doing what they think they should be doing and shit like that. So it's like, I think it's a great analogy for what's going on right now, to be honest.
Depicts the importance of hope, quite like George Lucas's
You saw Tom Jane Hire was at a con years ago.
Universe. Lucas has been open about the political significance of this film, a group of rebels fighting for their independence against a hegemonic intergalactic superpower with weapons of mass destruction. It's hard to miss, quite frankly. What's central in the film is the rebels' last hope, the plans to the Death Star, the Empire's planet killer. When stories talk about hope, it often...
Do like Republican Star Wars fans, do they think that like the rebels are like you know, Republicans, you know, like Nazis who like love Star Wars, because they do love Star Wars, don't they? Like, do they think that, you know, do they think that the rebels are like them? Is that what they think? Do they think that like Darth Vader is trans and, you know, Jewish or something. I don't know. Like, what do they think? What do they think? They think it's just a story, right? Exactly, yeah.
Often reads as vapid. James
They think it's about the American Revolution. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, I mean, I guess so, right? I guess so. It is, you could argue it's about the American Revolution, but then again, it's like, well, the American Revolution had slaves. You know, they had slaves at that time. Not that good. Yeah, right-wing Star Wars fans see the Empire as libs. Darth Vader is trans. What do you mean? Yes, he is. I agree. They're all trans, actually, in Star Wars. Every single person in Star Wars is trans. The Empire are actually communists, because anything inconvenient is a communist. That's right. Yes, absolutely it. So fucking funny. Yeah, they're the good guys. They think that the Empire is like the cartoon Nazis that Indiana Jones punches. Yeah, like they're the real Nazis. We could never be Nazis like that, you know? Right.
V for Vendetta comes to mind, where the way to overcome fascism is to put on a mask, join hands, and watch a building burn.
No one will ever forget that night and what it meant for this country.
Lucas's film, however, bases this hope in objective information, not just in the hearts and spirits of the rebels. There are many plans on how to swiftly transition to clean energy and begin the decarbonization science says is necessary to confront.
You've seen them talk about the Empire being Jewish because of the Emperor controlling things from the shadows. Psychic damage.
Front the climate crisis. It's not the most riveting topic for a YouTube video, but I personally found Herber's path forward compelling, fixing our attention on unions, specifically in the electricity sector, as it's already one of the most unionized sectors in the United States. And electrical workers possess literal power over the economy as a whole. Unions are a great tool in providing information to workers and consumers alike on why workers leading the transition to green energy is in their best interest, as green capitalism, private, ununionized capital, is dominating that scene currently. Again, accurate information is everything.
They who have put out the people's eyes reproach them for their blindness. A John Milton quote that this tragic and admittedly humorous ending to the myth screams into my brain. No one can blame David for jumping the gun here. He was effectively blind. That's what makes this joke so tragic. With the limited information available to him, he made a noble choice. Today, it appears we have the opposite problem, too much information, but it creates a similar uncertainty, the same hopeless mist.
The media is privatized and an algorithm decides what and who we see, but now we can make and distribute information to an audience of potentially millions of people.
Oh, chat, I gotta go for a wee real quick.
And Climate Town specifically give me hope as well. Like, wow, other people find stuff like urban planning and electric stoves genuinely interesting and extremely important. I mean, that's awesome. Even recently, seeing workers in the UK strike in solidarity with one another made me genuinely hopeful. And of course, Christian Smalls and the push to unionize Amazon is great too. I tend to be a bit of a pessimist and think it's always important to strive for more. As Frantz Fanon said, the colonized subject is at constant risk of being disarmed by any sort of concession. And I do believe complacency is in part responsible for the mess we're in today. I also recognize killing hope isn't radical either. If all we can imagine is the end of the world, why would we look up? Thanks again to Atlas VPN. Make sure to check out that link below for a great deal on internet security. Wow, you actually finished my video. That is still something that blows my mind, and you're still watching me talk. So thank you so much. You don't know how much I appreciate it. And it still like truly blows me away. I didn't actually think I'd ever get people who actually watched my videos and enjoyed hearing me out. I think it's really awesome. Thank you. Thank you to my awesome patrons. This is crazy. I never thought I'd actually have like one of these endings where I have like people who support me.
Hey, the good morning
next to me. Like, it's just so awesome. Like, thank you guys. Really made this possible. One thing that I'll say that I wish I made clear in the video: climate.
Right. Sick. Chat. That was a wicked video. Boom. 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 Go follow Frank Laundry. He's great. Go give him a subscribe. Go give him a like. Go give him a comment. All that good stuff. You know the score. That was a really, really good video. I really enjoyed it. I think he did a really good job of, like, you know, talking about this stuff. in the way that he did it in the Zizek way. He was like, yeah, climate change is real, but it won't destroy the planet, and we should absolutely be doing something about it. We should be building collective power, join a union, etc., etc. Fucking based. Love Frank Laundry. He's my new favorite YouTuber. Here's the thing though, chat. That's basically the stream for today. I apologize. It's basically because I started late, because that fucking chicken from Lidl was rancid. Nothing I could do about it. Out of my control, chat. So you know, I had to fuck around and do a bunch of stuff. But listen, I'll be back tomorrow. We're doing some more political stuff tomorrow. I'm back on it with the political streams. Thank you so much, everybody who donated today. I really, really appreciate it. It would be absolutely awesome if we could like get somewhere close to £400 tomorrow, considering it's like near the middle of the month. I know I wasn't streaming last month, but this is like, you know, I need this money to live, you know, kind of thing. So it would be ideal if we could get that. But again, thank you for all the donos today. It's been fucking dope. But anyway, thank you to everybody just for being here. I really appreciate that as well. We are gonna go and raid. Oh my god, Luna Mothwings is playing Ocarina of Time for the first time, and I do raid Luna a lot, but she does have amazing taste. So we're gonna go raid Luna. Join me for the raid. That would be ideal. If you simply can't wait 24 hours for more Muel content, here are my socials. There you go. Follow me on all the stuff. I got loads and loads of stuff going on. Yeah, become a patron as well. Like I'm coming. I'm doing patron stuff. I got a new video in the works. It's happening. It's doing it. It's becoming realized slowly but surely. Believe me, I promise. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. Thank you for all the lurks as well. And if you've been watching this on the VOD on YouTube, please give me a like, a comment, and a subscribe. It really helps me out, and share the video, etc., etc. Yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow. Mwah. Peace.